Chapter 2398. Mr. In, is Jiangwen home? We have something we need to talk to him about. Lingshan got straight to the point. Oh, you're looking for Jiangwen? He's not home. What's the matter? And Mingwe asked calmly. Where is he? We're looking for him to cooperate with the investigation. Lingshan said. I see. Why don't I call him and ask him to come back? And Mingwe saw that Lingshan wasn't going to say anything, and after some hesitation, he dialed Jiangwen's number and told him everything that happened. Of course, he didn't say anything unnecessary. He believed that Jiangwen would understand what he was trying to say. Jiangwen, naturally, understood what his father was hinting at, but he didn't understand how Lingshan could have gotten here so quickly. Jiangwen was confident that he'd done everything perfectly, and there wasn't any evidence left. Lingshan probably didn't come here through evidence. Still, Jiangwen went back to the villa immediately and greeted Lingshan warmly. Officer Song, you were looking for me? Jiangwen, you're familiar with the recent kidnapping cases, right? Lingshan asked straightforwardly. Normal methods wouldn't work on people like Jiangwen. Kidnapping cases? I've heard of it, but no one from Howson was kidnapped. As expected, Jiangwen looked at Lingshan innocently. Jiangwen, I'll cut to the chase. Lin, he asked me to find you. The Firewolf Gang's research on these people that are similar to practitioners. Don't tell me you have nothing to do with it. Lingshan wasn't just beating around the bush with Jiangwen. Someone like him wouldn't admit anything no matter what. So, Lingshan decided to ask him directly. Jiangwen didn't expect Lingshan to ask like this, especially since it was Lin who asked her to come. His face changed. He wanted to deny it subconsciously, but he knew that he couldn't. Lin, he probably knew about the things he had done, such as kidney removal, underground boxing, bank robbery, etc. However, Lin, he did not have any evidence, and Lin, he probably could not be bothered with him for the time being. But this time, Lin, he had personally instructed Lingshan to come to him. Evidently, Lin, he wasn't happy with the kidnapping. Jiangwen frowned. He seemed to have offended Lin a little too much recently, especially after Pingzhan's car accident. Lin, he didn't like him at all. He remembered what his father said about Lin Yi's feat at the Hidden House Summit. Jiangwen hesitated, but decided to give in. His position in the Firewolf Gang was indeed very high, but didn't the Firewolf Gang's law protector similarly admit defeat in front of Lin Yi? Plus, Lin Yi's performance at the Hidden House Summit could only be described as shocking. Even those Sky-class masters didn't dare to make a move, so how could Jiangwen fight against Lin Yi? And so, Jiangwen decided to give in. Is that so? But, Officer Song, you know that I may be the person in charge of the Firewolf Gang in Donghai, but some of my men might use our practitioners to do bad things for their own selfish reasons. I didn't pay attention to it before, but since Officer Song reminded me, it seems like I've overlooked it. Don't worry, Officer Song. I'll investigate the people in our group, and those who have the qualifications to use those practitioners, I'll investigate them one by one. If it really was one of our men involved in the kidnapping, then I won't go easy on him. I'll bring him to you personally. I hope so. Lingshan nodded. This wasn't the result she wanted, but it was still a victory in comparison. Jiangwen gave in. The person he handed over might be a small fry, but it was better than nothing. Of course, Lingshan knew that the Lin Yi in her words had an effect. Jiangwen was obviously afraid of Lin Yi, and that was why he was trying to shirk the responsibility. Otherwise, there was no way Jiangwen would give in without any evidence at all. Lingshan didn't say much and left with Lu Wangli. She knew that the kidnapping case would be solved soon, but the real culprit was still in hiding. The Firewolf Gang, also known as Firewolf Group, was the real culprit behind all this. Fuck, we just made some money, and Lin Yi's here to cause trouble. Jiangwen was furious after Lingshan left. Jiangwen, Lin, he has a big grudge with us. With the current situation, it really isn't a good time to have a conflict. And Mingwe said, let's stop the kidnapping for now. Okay. Jiangwen was angry, but he knew that he couldn't do the kidnapping business anymore. It seemed like he had to focus on other businesses. Boss Zhu sent Chen-Shi back first before returning to Donghai City. He went to Gambling Bros Casino first and learned about the situation from him. Of course, this was to make it easier for him to lie when he got back. He mainly wanted to test how much Gambling Bro knew. But now, it seemed like Gambling Bro didn't know much. He didn't see how Pu Laolu and Pu Huati died, and he didn't know Old Pai's real identity. This made Boss Zhu sigh in relief. After Boss Zhu returned, the first thing the hidden house, Zhao, did was call for a family meeting. Boss Zhu followed Lin Yi's orders and blamed the whole thing on Lin Yi, but didn't mention the hidden house pie. As for the reason why the Zhaos were killed by Lin Yi, it was because of the casino. Boss Zhu said that the boss of the casino sold out the hidden house Zhao's identity. Of course, Boss Zhu was reversing the sequence. Gambling Bro did sell out the hidden house Zhao, but he did it after, not before. As for the reason why Lin Yi suspected those people, it was because Lin Yi saw through Boss Zhu's strength. Naturally, Boss Zhu wouldn't say it out loud. If House Zhao knew that he was exposed, he'd probably be sent back to the hidden house. He wouldn't be able to stay by Chun Shi's side, and he wouldn't have a good ending either. I didn't think that Lin Yi was this strong, killing Pu Huati and his bodyguards. Old Zhao was shocked. This Lin Yi wasn't weak at all. No wonder he was so arrogant during the Hidden House Summit, saying that he had the strength to fight Sky Class. Chapter 2399. But now, he was venting his anger on the casino. But before old Zhao could say anything, Guanyin spoke up. Father, this casino owner is a two-faced scoundrel. He's not a good person. How dare he betray our hidden house? If we don't teach him a lesson, he won't know who the boss of Donghai is. Yes, of course we'll teach the casino a lesson, but we'll have to wait until this blows over. Old Zhao waved his hand. At least wait until the news of Pu Huati and Pu Lao's deaths reach Southeast Asia. We'll go to their sects and let them know who killed their disciples. If we do it now and they blame it on us, it won't be worth it. Lin Yi is a sly bastard. He's capable of anything. Yes, father. Guanyin had wanted to attack the casino right away, but his father's words made sense. If they did it now, what if Pu Huati and Pu Lao's deaths were blamed on them? Grandpa, that Lin Yi is so strong. Zhao Qikuan. It was finally Qibing's turn to speak. He wasn't interested in taking revenge on the casino. He was worried about Qikuan. If Qikuan got Lin Yi's support, then who could stop him if he wanted to take over? Father, Zhao Qikuan must be removed. Guanyin hesitated before suggesting. Haze. Old Zhao sighed. He'd thought that if they could get rid of Lin Yi, then even if Qikuan didn't die, he wouldn't be able to do much. He'd be kicked out of House Zhao and become a normal rich man. But now, it seemed like he had to get rid of him, or there'd be endless trouble in the future. Head, Zhao Qikuan is still a bit against the idea of joining the test. But if we tell him that Lin is joining as well, then maybe he'll go willingly. Elder Zhu suggested. Oh, old Master Zhao pondered for a moment, then nodded his head and said, All right, go tell him. I won't see him. Old Zhao had made up his mind, but he was still a little emotional. Boss Zhu felt a little smug. He'd said this to get in touch with Qikuan, and, as expected, the mission had fallen to him. This was because he had already calculated that old Master Zhao was a little sad and probably wouldn't go. Qibing and Qikuan, on the other hand, were enemies. Qikuan might not believe his words. Since Zhao Guanyin was Zhao Qibing's father, it wasn't suitable for him to do such a thing, so after he suggested it, it naturally fell onto his shoulders. It could be said that it was logical. Yes, Boss Zhu quickly responded. Unknowingly, Boss Zhu also realized that he had already boarded Lin Yi's pirate ship. It was impossible for him to leave. This was already destined from the moment Lin Yi discovered his identity. Therefore, although Boss Zhu was reluctant, he had no other choice. Luckily, helping Qikuan was also helping House Zhao. It was just two different factions, so Boss Zhu didn't feel too much of a burden. They came to Qikuan's room and knocked. Boss Zhu pushed the door open and walked in. Qikuan was sitting on the bed with his eyes closed, practicing. He didn't open his eyes when he heard the door open. Put the food on the table. I'll eat later. These days, there have been people delivering food to him every day. He was used to it. There were masters guarding his door, and even with his strength, he wouldn't be able to escape. Qikuan was too lazy to run. As for the food, Qikuan didn't worry at all. Hidden House, Zhao wanted to get rid of him, but they wouldn't do something like poison. Houses had rules, and if they did something like that in the future, people would start using poison in the fight for the head of the house, and then Hidden House Zhao would be wiped out. So, to get rid of Chikuan, they had to use the Sky Elixir School's test. Chikuan had seen through the truth. These days, he had accepted his fate. Chikuan, someone told me to tell you, don't worry and go to the test. Boss Zhu lowered his voice and whispered to Chikuan. Ah. Chikuan opened his eyes abruptly and looked at Boss Zhu, confused. He wasn't a stranger to Boss Zhu, but he had always been Qibing's follower. Now that he came over and said something like this, Chikuan didn't know what was going on, but Boss Zhu didn't continue the topic. The head of the house told me to tell you that Lin Yi is participating in the Sky Elixir test as well. Chikuan frowned as he looked at Boss Zhu, a little surprised. He couldn't tell which side Boss Zhu was on right now. If he was one of Zhao Qibing's people, then there wouldn't be a problem with the second sentence. In order to let him participate in the test, he wouldn't reject it, so he told him this information. In fact, Chikuan knew that this was Qibing's plan to get him to join the test willingly. It was an overt scheme, but what Boss Zhu said in a low voice when he just came to the room was worth considering. Who did he say that on behalf of? Zhu Boss you? Chikuan frowned, unsure of what to say. I don't want to die. Boss Zhu only said this and left the room. Don't want to die? Chikuan paused, but he wasn't an idiot. He quickly realized the connection between the two. The first one, Boss Zhu, was speaking for someone, and the second one was speaking for the head of the house, Elder Zhao. Since the first person was able to say something that made him feel at ease, it didn't need to be said who this person was. In addition to the two words Lin Yi in the second sentence, Zhao Qibing was sure that Lin Yi was the one who told Boss Zhu to bring him a message. And the reason why Boss Zhu gave in was simple. He was afraid of death. This made sense. After thinking about it, Chikuan, who had been depressed for so long, couldn't help but feel excited. It seemed like Boss Zhu hadn't forgotten about him. His act of sending him a message had paid off. Lin Yi must have found out about him through some other channel. So he told Boss Zhu to bring him this message. Like this, Chikuan didn't really mind joining the Sky Elixir sex test. He just see it as training with Lin Yi. After Lin Yi ended the call, he went to Han Jingjing's villa next door. Chapter 2400. That method. I don't think it'll work. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He wanted to try it again, but Chunshi woke up before he could, and then Boss Zhu came and Lingshan called. So Lin Yi didn't try Spring Rain again. Now that Han Jingjing mentioned it again, Lin Yi didn't want to give up and decided to try again. It's not working. Han Jingjing was a little disappointed, but she still said, It's okay. I believe Lin Yi bro can think of other ways. If it really doesn't work, I won't make second-level elixirs in batches. Let's try again. Lin Yi said, Let's go to your room now. Okay. Han Jingjing listened to Lin Yi's words. The two came to Han Jingjing's room, and Han Jingjing asked, Do you need me to do anything to help Lin Yi bro? No need, just wait on the side. Lin Yi shook his head. Oh, okay. Han Jingjing nodded. After that, he started channeling the chant for Sky's Spring Rain and tried activating the first form. But suddenly, a miracle happened. On Lin Yi's hands, a light blue mist of pure energy suddenly appeared, and as Lin Yi activated the technique, the light blue energy suddenly left Lin Yi's hands, floating in the air, and then fell like spring rain, entering Han Jingjing's body. This situation made Lin Yi a little stunned. He had been failing before, and suddenly it worked, which made Lin Yi feel like it was unrealistic. It worked just like that? Lin Yi was a little surprised. Lin Yi bro, is this the method you created? It's very effective. Jingjing feels a lot more energetic. Han Jingjing was also very surprised and impressed. If Lin Yi bro used this method when I was making elixirs, you can indeed replenish Jingjing's pure energy and stamina. You feel it? Lin Yi was pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect that the martial skill that he had failed to activate before would suddenly succeed in front of Han Jingjing. Why did Lin Yi feel that this was unrealistic? Yeah, I can feel it. Why did Brother Lin Yi say that this method is ineffective? Han Jingjing asked curiously. but Jingjing feels that it is effective. It's working this time. Lin, he was a little embarrassed. Previously, when I was at home, I tried to activate this martial skill, but it didn't work. Why didn't you succeed? Is it because Jingjing isn't around? Han Jingjing blinked and asked doubtfully. Not beside me. Lin, he was slightly stunned, but then he felt a sense of enlightenment. That's right. The reason why he didn't succeed in activating this martial technique before was because Han Jingjing wasn't beside him. In other words, there was no recipient. The basic function of this auxiliary martial technique was to replenish the physical strength and true chi of the people on his side, but there was no one on his side. Lin, he activated the martial technique against the air. How could he activate it without a recipient? After figuring this out, Lin, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. It was really a wake-up call. Yeah, Jingjing, you weren't beside me before. This martial technique of mine can only be activated when there is a recipient on my side. There is no one here, so of course, I can't activate it. After Lin figured this out, he was a little excited and surprised. It seemed that it wasn't that he couldn't activate the water martial technique, but he just didn't figure it out before. And Brother Lin, he is really smart. You figured out the key to the problem in an instant. Han Jingjing nodded and said, Jingjing didn't think of it. Lin, he looked at Han Jingjing's sincere face. He was a little embarrassed and ashamed. If Han Jingjing didn't remind him, Lin, he would really ignore this point. However, Han Jingjing put the credit on his head, which made Lin, he feel very embarrassed. However, looking at Han Jingjing's big, watery, and innocent eyes, Lin, he found it hard to imagine that Han Jingjing was deliberately complimenting him. After coughing twice, Lin, he said, let's start to study alchemy and see if we can refine second-grade medicinal pills in batches. Okay, Han Jingjing nodded. Like before, I'll simulate alchemy? And let's simulate it first. For the sake of insurance, Lin, he let Han Jingjing simulate it first. Otherwise, if it failed, it would be a waste of materials. Okay, Han Jingjing took the cauldron and asked after preparing, can we start, Brother Lin? Yes, let's start. Lin nodded and began to circulate the spring rain martial technique. Han Jingjing began to condense the alchemy fire and prepare to simulate alchemy. Soon, Han Jingjing's alchemy fire was condensed, and then she began to simulate alchemy. It could be seen that Han Jingjing's physical strength and true chi were consumed very quickly. After a while, her forehead was covered with fine sweat. As for Lin, he was ready to start urging the spring rain martial technique to replenish Han Jingjing's true chi and physical strength. This time, Lin did not urge the first style of the spring rain martial technique, but he did not urge the second style either, because he roughly judged the speed of the consumption of true chi in Han Jingjing's body. He urged the third style of the spring rain martial technique. Whether it was the first style or the third style, there was not much difference for Lin. According to the description of the spring rain martial technique, the first style of the spring rain martial technique could transfer true chi to one person. The second style could transfer true chi to two people. The third style could transfer true chi to three people, and so on. Now, there was only Han Jingjing beside Lin. Using the third style was equivalent to transferring 3 portions of true chi to Han Jingjing at the same time. However, even if it was the fifth style, the total amount of true chi in Lin Yi's body was fixed. So whether it was the first style, the second style, or the fifth style, it was just that the true chi in Lin Yi's body was divided into several portions. The amount transferred each time was different, but the final sum was the same. Although Lin Yi had not really urged the third style of the spring rain martial technique before, according to Lin Yi's guess, the speed of releasing true chi in the third style should be about the same as the speed at which Han Jingjing's physical strength was consumed. Sure enough, after Lin Yi urged the third style of the spring rain martial technique, Han Jingjing's physical strength and true chi were quickly replenished. At this moment, Lin Yi was surprised to find that he could actually see the amount of true chi left in Han Jingjing's body. Chapter 24:01. When Lin Yi healed Wu Qintian, Pai Ji Hai, and the others, he could directly feel the amount of qi in their bodies. But that was because the two of them were in direct contact. But now, he and Han Jingjing didn't have any contact. They were only connected through martial arts. So Lin Yi didn't know whether it was because the martial arts had this ability or because the martial arts connected the two of them. Lin Yi's golden finger worked again, but no matter what, this was a good thing for Lin Yi, because Lin Yi could see Han Jingjing's physical condition in real time. Han Jingjing's body kept absorbing the qi that Lin Yi sent over, and the spring rain arts kept circulating in Lin Yi's body, and as long as Lin Yi didn't stop, the qi would be continuously sent into Han Jingjing's body. But Lin Yi soon realized that the third form of spring rain wasn't enough to keep up with Han Jingjing's consumption. Although it looked like Lin Yi was constantly replenishing Han Jingjing's energy, the rate of replenishment wasn't enough to keep up with the consumption. It just looked like the consumption was much slower. Han Jingjing really felt a lot more relaxed, and the qi in her body seemed to be endless. She could also calm down when she condensed the Dan fire, and didn't have to worry about her physical strength and qi running out at any time. It could be said that this time's pill concoction simulation was very successful. If it was according to the usual pill concoction progress, at this time, there would be signs of physical exhaustion, and it wouldn't be as full as it was now. But while she was happy, Han Jingjing quickly realized a problem, and that was, although Lin Yi's qi was constantly being sent over, it couldn't keep up with the consumption, and the transfer was not as fast as the consumption. Lin Yi bro, can you speed up the qi transfer a little? Han Jingjing felt this and quickly asked Lin Yi. Yes, Lin Yi said, and stopped the third form, and started the fourth form of spring rain. The amount of innate qi transmitted by the fourth form was obviously much more than that of the third form, and Han Jingjing's worries were solved. She then continued to refer to the data on the tablet for alchemy. Lin Yi did not expect that refining so many dawn would require so much physical strength and innate qi. If he were to refine higher-level dawn, how much innate qi and physical strength would he need? No wonder alchemists were so arrogant and did not easily refine pills for others. Refining a pill consumes a lot of true qi and physical strength. Although the alchemist's mantra is special and can naturally restore true qi and physical strength in a short period of time, it also varies from person to person. Han Jingjing was a special case. She could recover her innate qi and physical strength in a very short period of time, but this was also because her level was relatively low. If it was a heaven stage alchemist refining a tier 3 Dan, it would probably take a very long time to recover. And the more time passed, the more Lin Yi felt this way, because very soon, all the innate qi in Lin Yi's body was transferred to Han Jingjing, and he directly became a powerless cultivator without innate qi. Although Han Jingjing's alchemy continued, the innate qi in her body was also consumed very quickly. Feeling that Lin Yi's innate qi was no longer continuously transmitted, Han Jingjing was slightly stunned, but she roughly calculated the remaining time on the tablet. Her physical strength and innate qi should be able to support until the end of the simulation alchemy. Finally, Han Jingjing's simulation alchemy ended, but even if it was a simulation alchemy, the amount of innate qi consumed was the same as the normal alchemy. In the end, Han Jingjing's body had less than 1/3 of the innate qi and physical strength left. Phew! It's finally over. Han Jingjing wiped the sweat on her forehead, and then asked with some joy, Big Brother Lin Yi, why did you stop transmitting innate qi halfway? All the innate qi in my body has been given to you. There's not a bit left. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Ah, is that so? Han Jingjing nodded, but fortunately, there is enough innate qi. I still have some left in my body. If the two of us cooperate, we can refine multiple second-grade pills at once. That's true, Lin Yi said. All right, if you want to refine a third-grade pill, how much innate qi do you need? If you only refine one, will the two of us have enough innate qi? It shouldn't be enough. Han Jingjing shook her head. When I was free, I also calculated that the innate qi needed to refine a third-grade pill is at least 5 times the innate qi needed to refine a second-grade pill, 5 times. Lin Yi sucked in a breath of cold air. It seemed that non-heaven stage masters could not refine it, because the consumption of innate qi was too huge. Lin Yi could only temporarily dispel this unrealistic idea. If refining a third-grade pill was equal to the sum of two people's innate qi, or slightly more than the sum of two people's innate qi, Lin Yi could accept it. After all, after Lin Yi's innate qi was used up, Han Jingjing still had a lot of innate qi in her body. Lin Yi could take advantage of Han Jingjing's innate qi consumption to quickly restore his innate qi with the art of dragon mastery. But this method could not be used continuously, because Han Jingjing's innate qi could only last once. When Lin Yi's recovered innate qi was used up again, Han Jingjing would have no innate qi to support her, and the process would stop and fail. According to Han Jingjing, after refining a second-grade pill, she was a bit exhausted, which meant that her physical strength was basically only enough to refine one second-grade pill, and Lin Yi's innate qi and her own innate qi was only 3 times. Even if Lin Yi's innate qi was a bit more than Han Jingjing's, but the amount of innate qi a mid-stage peak Earth-class master and an early-stage Earth-class master had was not much different. After all, there would be a world of difference in the amount of essential qi after crossing a truly large level, but the difference between small levels would not be that great. So it was impossible to reach 5 times, unless there was someone like Lin Yi next to her to continue using Heavenly Rain to support Han Jingjing's pill refining. Lin Yi could not think of any other solution for now. Chapter 2402. It's fine, we'll talk about that later. Lin Yi laughed at himself after hearing Han Jingjing's words. He really was thinking too much. Han Jingjing couldn't even control a third-level refinement fire right now. What use would it be even if she had enough qi? Yeah, but I'll try my best to simplify the third-level refinement fire and see if I can change the intensity and temperature of the refinement fire. Han Jingjing said, let's recover our qi first, and then try to mass-produce second-level pills. We'll see if it works. Lin Yi said, all right. Han Jingjing nodded. Lin Yi and Han Jingjing were quite familiar with each other now, and he didn't hold back. He held Han Jingjing's hand and checked her pulse, activating the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to replenish her qi. On the second floor of Lin Yi's villa, Meng Yao and Yushu were lying on the bed, discussing Lin Yi and Xin Yan's future plans. What did Xin Yan mean by leaving today? Meng Yao couldn't understand why Xin Yan would reject Lin Yi. Wasn't she close with Lin Yi? Meng Yao nudged Shu with her foot. Hey, aren't you Almighty Shu? Tell me what's going on. Maybe Xin Yan's sis is playing hard to get? Yushu said after some thought. Playing hard to get? No way, right? Meng Yao frowned, rejecting the suggestion. Can't you come up with something constructive? Oh, then why aren't you a shield bro, Yao Yao? Yushu asked. Because, hey, this is Xin Yan's problem. What does it have to do with me? Meng Yao realized that she'd almost fallen for Yushu's trick again. Actually, Shu thinks that Xin Yan's sis is the same as Yao Yao's sis, shy, or maybe it's a little too sudden. Yushu said, those are the only reasons. Like Yao Yao, you like shield bro too, but didn't you drag it out until now? Ahem. Shu, can you not change the subject? Meng Yao glared at her. All right. Actually, the simplest way is for Sister Yao Yao to give Sister Xin Yan a call. Wouldn't you know? It's better than us guessing here, right? Yushu said, that's a good idea. Meng Yao nodded. She picked up her phone and dialed Xin Yan's number. Ever since Xin Yan hung up the call with her mother, she'd been sitting on her bed with her phone in her hand. She didn't even want to read, and she didn't want to play with her tablet either. Her heart was heavy, and it was only when her phone rang that she jumped up. Xin Yan hesitated when she saw the caller ID. Should she pick it up or not? Meng Yao must be calling to ask about how he didn't respond to Lin Yi's confession. But how was he going to explain it? It was impossible for her to tell the truth. Xin Yan knew Lin Yi's personality. If she told the truth, it'd put too much pressure on Lin Yi. She knew that Lin Yi was studying pill making with Han Jingjing every day for Xiao Xiao, and the reason why he worked so hard to level up was also for Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao alone was enough to put a mountain of pressure on Lin Yi, and if she was added to the mix, would he even be able to breathe? The Ice Palace thing was still manageable. It didn't matter if Lin Yi could make the Ice Heart Jade Bone pill they needed or not. The Ice Palace would never become Lin Yi's enemy. But the Sky Elixir sect was different. If she told the truth, how would Lin Yi face it? Xin Yan didn't want Lin Yi to worry about these things. After some hesitation, Xin Yan pressed the call button and picked it up. Yao ya Xin Yan, you don't like Lin Yi today? Ming Yao didn't know what to say, so she decided to get straight to the point. Yao, I have a fiancé, so I can't be with Lin Yi. Xin Yan gritted her teeth and hardened her heart. Fiancé? You mean Kong Xiaolong? Ming Yao knew about Xin Yan and House Kong, but from her point of view, House Kong was already a thing of the past. Even the hidden house Pai, the Xiao family's backing, was now Lin Yi's follower. What else could Xin Yan not agree to? Yeah, I have to follow my parents' orders. Xin Yan said. So you're going to marry Xiaolong? Ming Yao was a little confused by Xin Yan's words. You don't look like someone that's stubborn, do you? I don't want to put my parents in a difficult position. And I'm the one who agreed to this. Yao, please don't force me. I'm begging you. Xin Yan smiled bitterly. You. Ming Yao was stunned by Xin Yan's words. She thought that Xin Yan left because she was shy, but it seemed like that wasn't the case at all. Xin Yan had other reasons that she couldn't talk about. Yao, I told you Lin Yi and I are just friends, really. Xin Yan's heart was bleeding when she said this. She was very sure of her feelings now. She liked Lin Yi, and she liked being with him. Just today, when Lin Yi confessed to her, Xin Yan almost said yes. Even when she walked out of the villa, Xin Yan still wanted to turn around and accept Lin Yi's confession. But the last phone call from her mother extinguished Xin Yan's heart. But I can tell that Lin Yi needs you when he's training. Ming Yao wasn't willing to give up. She didn't believe that Xin Yan didn't like Lin Yi. Ming Yao's intuition as a woman allowed her to sense Xin Yan's feelings most of the time, but she didn't know why Xin Yan wouldn't admit it. I won't get married while I'm in university. Xin Yan hesitated. Isn't it good for me and Lin Yi to be good friends during this time? Good friends. Ming Yao smiled bitterly and said helplessly, Then I'll ask you one last time. Do you like Lin Yi? My phone's out of battery. Xin Yan quickly hung up and turned off her phone. She couldn't say something she didn't want to say, not even if she wanted to. Say that she didn't like Lin Yi? That would be lying to herself, and so Xin Yan chose to avoid it. Ming Yao held the phone in her hand, speechless. She didn't expect Xin Yan to say this at the end. This result meant that there was no result. She asked for nothing. Chapter 24:03. Yao sis. I think Xin Yin sis has her own difficulties. Is she being forced to marry by her family? I don't think so. After all, the Xiao family is a thing of the past. Their support is Lin Yi's men. What's there for her to worry about? Ming Yao shook her head and denied Yushu's opinion. I don't know. Maybe she's a conservative girl. She doesn't want to break the promise after agreeing to the marriage. Yushu thought about it and couldn't think of another answer. Maybe. Ming Yao sighed. If that's the case, Lin, you will be very disappointed. It's okay. We can continue with the beauty-chasing plan. Yushu didn't care. As long as we help, we should be able to change her mind. I hope so. Ming Yao nodded and didn't say anything else. The two of them started watching a movie on the tablet. This was how they spent their time when Lin Yi wasn't home. Even the restless Shu had been cooped up at home, afraid of causing trouble for Lin Yi. She didn't dare go out casually, so Ming Yao didn't reprimand her for going to the casino to vent her frustrations. If it was before, she would have taught her a lesson. Winning money at the casino was just looking for trouble. It wasn't like her family didn't have money. Although it was wrong of the casino not to pay up, if it wasn't for Lin Yi, she wouldn't be able to get the money back. She might even be dragged out of the casino by the security guards. Ming Yao, on the other hand, felt quite liberated at the thought. This gamble bro was a bully, after all. He'd been acting all high and mighty before Lin Yi had even arrived, acting as if victory was already in his grasp. What could Lin Yi do if he didn't give him that much money? But after Lin Yi came, didn't gambling bro obediently take out the money? It could be foreseen that those who lost money in the casino would have nowhere to seek redress for their grievances, and those who were lucky enough to win money. Yet he was not honored. How sorrowful was that? Ming Yao looked at Shu, who was quietly watching the movie. She realized that she couldn't understand Shu anymore. Before Lin Yi came to the villa, Shu was also this kind of silly, carefree personality. But at that time, Lin Yi didn't understand her. Meng Yao felt that this was most likely Shu's personality. But as time went on, Meng Yao realized that this wasn't the case. Shu wasn't really heartless. Most of the time, it was just an act. Or was Shu trying to hide under this disguise? Meng Yao was surprised sometimes. Logically speaking, she should be the one who understood Shu the most, but in many situations, she realized that she only knew one side of Shu. At this moment, Lin Yi was still in Han Jingjing's villa, completely focused on recovering the physical strength and true qi that he had lost. Finally, after Lin Yi and Han Jingjing's physical strength recovered to their peak, Lin Yi decided to try concocting pills with Han Jingjing again. Let's start concocting 3 meridian unblocking pills now. Is that okay? Lin Yi looked at Han Jingjing and asked. After all, the two had just recovered their physical strength, and he wasn't sure if Han Jingjing could handle it. No problem. Lin Yi bro has already recovered Jingjing's physical strength and true qi. If Jingjing still can't concoct pills, then Jingjing is a big idiot. She's not worth Lin Yi bro's investment. Han Jingjing nodded. Ah, okay then. Han Jingjing's words made Lin Yi a little embarrassed. Han Jingjing was really professional, and Lin Yi admired and liked her. This little lass was really a lucky star that the heavens had sent to him. Many difficult problems were easily solved by her here. Yes, yes. Han Jingjing nodded heavily. Jingjing is ready. This time, with Lin Yi bro's help, I'm very confident that we can succeed. Lin Yi was even more embarrassed. Every time Han Jingjing concocted pills, she would give the credit to Lin Yi. She was never greedy, and this made Lin Yi feel like he was cheating an underage girl. But Han Jingjing was clearly an adult. It was just a little cute. Han Jingjing quickly prepared 3 portions of meridian unblocking pills ingredients and put them in the cauldron. Then, she quickly flipped through the tablet, looking for the scientific formula that she had recorded before. When Han Jingjing flipped to a page, she stopped and looked at it for a while. Then, she started to condense the fire, preparing to concoct the pills. And at this time, Lin Yi also started to circulate the Heavenly Spring Rain Martial Technique, preparing to activate the Heavenly Spring Rain Martial Technique. Not long after, Han Jingjing started to concoct the pills. And this time, Han Jingjing was clearly more focused than before. She didn't look at Lin Yi anymore. Her eyes were fixed on the time on her tablet, and the fire and temperature of the fire in her hands also changed according to the time. When Han Jingjing used up a portion of her physical strength and true qi, Lin Yi started to activate the 3rd form of the Heavenly Spring Rain and started to transfer true qi to Han Jingjing. At the beginning, Lin Yi only needed to activate the 3rd form. Later on, he would activate the 4th or 5th form to quickly recover Han Jingjing's true qi and physical strength. Han Jingjing also felt Lin Yi's true qi transfer over, but her expression only changed slightly. She continued to concentrate on concocting pills. Time flew, and it was nighttime in the blink of an eye. The two didn't know that they were both focused on concocting pills. Meng Yao and Yushu watched 2 movies and came downstairs to see that Lin Yi wasn't back yet. Lin Yi isn't back yet? Looks like we'll have to settle dinner ourselves. Meng Yao said as she looked at the empty living room. Oh, maybe we should go out and get some? Eating instant noodles every day isn't nutritious. Yushu said as she looked at the time on her phone. There should be a lot of good food around here that we didn't see before. I'll go around and see if there's any delivery. Then let's go eat together? No need. It's just the 2 of us. It's so troublesome. Meng Yao said. It's fine. Shu should go. If Shield Bro doesn't have anything to eat when he comes back tonight, he can at least eat some of Yao Yao's leftovers. Then we can have an indirect kiss. Yushu said. Go, go, go. You talk too much. Meng Yao frowned and kicked Yushu out of the house, not letting her continue. Yushu walked out of the villa with a smile on her face. Shield Bro's car's still here? Why isn't he home? Meng Yao heard Yushu's words and came out to take a look. As expected, Lin Yi's Jeep was still parked at the door, but Lin Yi and Shun, she were nowhere to be seen. Chapter 2404. Lin Yi's out again. Meng Yao was puzzled as she prepared to make a call. Don't call yet. Yushu stopped Meng Yao suddenly. The car's at home, so Shield Bro must be nearby. If he's not at home, then he must be at Han Jingjing's. Maybe they're making pills. Let's not disturb him. Meng Yao nodded, surprised. She had to admit that Shu was quite good at analyzing things, figuring out Lin Yi's whereabouts from small details. I'm going to buy some food. Yushu's eyes flashed with worry, but it was gone in a flash. Then I'll go with you? Meng Yao was already out of the villa, so it didn't matter if she went with Yushu. Don't, Yushu said subconsciously, startled. Meng Yao looked at Yushu, confused. Oh, what I meant was that Yao Yao should stay at home and wait for Shield Bro. He'll think that we've been kidnapped when he comes back and sees that we're gone and his car's gone. Yushu explained. Oh, that's true. I'll wait for Linny then. Meng Yao nodded. Yushu breathed out in relief as she got in the car and drove Lin Yi's Jeep out of Meng Yao's sight. Meng Yao watched the car leave, frowning as she stood in front of the villa for a long time, thinking about something. She shook her head after a while and walked into the villa. In a small tea house near the university town, a girl was sitting opposite a mysterious old man. The girl was trying her best to stay calm, but there was a hint of nervousness in her eyes. What's going on? Why isn't he dead yet? The old man frowned. Didn't I tell you to poison him? Why is he still fine? He's even talking to the hidden house, Zhao. The girl hesitated. He's a doctor and a refiner as well. He was the one who solved the poisoning incident in Songshan's first school. He even tasted the poison himself. In other words, this poison has no effect on him, or he has already solved it himself. The old man's expression softened a little after listening. Then he nodded and said, He didn't suspect you? I don't think so. If he's suspicious, he probably suspects that there's something wrong with the tea leaves. Perhaps there are pesticides on them that haven't been washed clean? The girl said carefully. Understand. The old man nodded noncommittally and said, I expected this situation as well. It's just a test. Using poison to kill is easier, but the others are more troublesome. Oh, then why don't we not kill them? They're quite hard to kill. If we don't kill them properly and get exposed, it won't be fun, right? The girl suggested. What? You can't bear to? The old man's eyes lit up as he looked at the young girl in front of him. How? How is that possible? The girl shook her head innocently. I'm just afraid that I can't kill him. He just exposed himself. You know, he's very powerful. Don't forget who you are. The old man coldly snorted and threatened. Your life and death is up to me. It's also in my hands. I'm sure you know the consequences of not having the antidote. It's death. The girl nodded silently. Forget it. Since he's so powerful, then we'll use another trick. The old man said, This is a bottle of sleeping pills blended with benzoin and an antidote. Put in the tea and it'll make him sleep soundly. It's colorless and odorless, so he shouldn't be able to detect it. You'll be fine after taking the antidote. Otherwise, you'll also fall asleep. What's the use of this? The girl asked curiously. Of course it's useful. After he falls asleep, stab him to death with a knife. The old man said lightly, He's an inner force cultivator. When he's asleep, he doesn't have chi to protect his body. One stab and he'll die. The girl didn't expect the old man to come up with such a method. Is there a problem? The old man didn't give the girl time to answer. He asked directly. No. The girl smiled bitterly. She took the sleeping pills from the old man and carefully put them in her pocket. All right, I'll wait for the good news. The old man stood up and left the tea house first. As for the young lady, she sighed with a responsible look in her eyes. She turned around and waved at the waiter. Waiter, Lin Yi and Han Jingjing finally finished refining the pills. It could be said that the entire process was very successful. At least, it seemed to be very successful. Han Jingjing strictly followed her formula, and the cauldron didn't show any strange phenomena. In the end, the cauldron emitted waves of fragrance, which meant that the herbs in the cauldron were about to become pills. Phew! Han Jingjing heaved a sigh of relief. It's a success, but Jingjing is a little nervous. I wonder how many meridian unblocking pills I can make. As long as I can make more than 3 pills, it's a victory. Lin Yi was more calm. After all, if Han Jingjing could make more pills than she needed, it was a success. She was much better than other alchemists. Brother Lin Yi always comforts Jingjing. Han Jingjing carefully opened the cauldron and subconsciously counted the number of pills inside. 1, 2, 3, 7. It's even more than the previous first-grade pills. Han Jingjing couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Her highest record was double the number of pills. This time, she actually made more than double the number of pills. Moreover, they were second-grade pills. How could she not be surprised? Haha, congratulations, Jingjing. Looks like you're getting more and more proficient at it. Although Lin Yi didn't appear too excited, he was actually very happy. Han Jingjing's attainments in alchemy were amazing, which meant that Lin Yi was amazing. It's not that Jingjing is getting better at it. It's that brother Lin Yi is helping me. Otherwise, Jingjing wouldn't be able to do it. Not only would I fail, I wouldn't be able to make 7 pills out of 3 sets of ingredients, Han Jingjing said. That's right. Let's find some time to make the lesser qi gathering pill. Hopefully, with these 5 sets of ingredients, we can create another miracle and make 12 pills, Lin Yi said. Okay. Han Jingjing nodded. Let's recover our qi and stamina first. After that, I have to go back. Alchemy took up a lot of time. I haven't told Yao Yao and the others. Don't think that I'm missing, Lin Yi said. Han Jingjing listened to whatever Lin Yi said. It was as if she had no opinion of her own. Chapter 2405. But after leaving Lin Yi, she seemed to still have her own insights. Even the master refiners wouldn't be able to grasp her methods. After recovering their strength with Han Jingjing, Lin Yi took the pill and 9 meridian opening pills back to his villa. He saw Meng Yao sitting on the sofa as soon as he entered the house. She didn't turn on the TV, nor did she turn on the lights in the living room. Lin Yi jumped when he saw her sitting on the sofa. Yao Yao, what are you doing? Lin Yi blinked. Lin Yi, you're back. Meng Yao snapped out of her stupor. She didn't even notice Lin Yi enter the house, and only now did she realize how dark the living room was. December's sky darkened faster and earlier. There was still light in the living room when Meng Yao sent Yushu away, but now it was completely dark. I'll go turn on the lights. I'll do it. Lin Yi was at the doorway, closer to the light switch. He turned it on. Where's Shu? Did she drive the car in the yard? And, Yao Yao, what were you doing? Shu went to buy food. Meng Yao hesitated, but seemed to have made up her mind. She turned to Lin Yi. Lin Yi, do you have time now? I want to talk to you while Shu's not here. Now? I do. Lin Yi nodded, a little confused. He walked over and sat on the sofa beside Meng Yao. What's wrong? Why do I feel like both of you are acting weird today? Lin Yi thought that Meng Yao was going to talk to him about Wang Xinyan, but Wang Xinyan's matters didn't need to be hidden from Shu, so Lin Yi found it strange. You feel that something's wrong with Shu too? Meng Yao was happy to hear Lin Yi's words. If that's the case, I don't have to explain. I feel that Shu's acting weird too, as if she's hiding something from us? You mean Shu? Didn't you ask her? Lin Yi realized that Meng Yao was talking about Shu's problem. He sighed and said, it was pretty normal before. I felt like I just went out for a walk. That's a problem. Yeah, I think so too. Meng Yao said, I've asked her a couple of times today, but she's always absent-minded. I've asked her what's wrong, but she won't tell me. I'm a little worried, but I don't know what to do then. What do you want to do? Lin Yi asked, finding Yushu's behavior rather strange today. Especially when she was pouring tea. He had no idea what she was going to do. I don't know. Meng Yao shook her head. She wanted to go out to buy food, and I wanted to go with her, but she didn't agree. It's like she's got something on her mind, and she's afraid that I'll ask. Maybe you could help me ask? Me? Lin Yi pointed at himself in surprise. Yup, little Shu treats you very well. She'll listen to you, Meng Yao said. Plus, she likes you. After listening to Meng Yao's words, Lin Yi fell silent. Lin Yi didn't object to what Meng Yao said. Yushu did listen to him, and Yushu would play tricks on everyone except himself. Sometimes, she would even play tricks on Meng Yao. But this didn't mean that Yushu could tell him what was on her mind. Lin Yi had long felt that there was something deeper under Yushu's crazy appearance. She pretended to be a happy little girl, but some things were just too much. I'll try, Lin Yi said. I'll find a chance to ask her these 2 days. Yup, thanks. Meng Yao said. I'm worried about her like this. No need to thank me. I'm worried too. She's not just your friend. Lin, he waved his hand. She doesn't see me as a part of this family? Then you should thank me too. Meng Yao's mood improved after hearing Lin Yi's promise. I wanted to thank you. Right, did you ask Xinyan? Lin Yi asked. I did. Meng Yao was so worried about Shu that she would have forgotten about it if Lin Yi didn't bring it up. I called Xianyan just now, she said. She only sees you as a good friend, and she has a fiancé. Lin Yi didn't know what to say, so he quickly said, I called Xianyan just now, and she said, she only sees you as a good friend, and she has a fiancé. Fiancé? Kong Xiaolong? Lin Yi had always known about it, but he didn't think much of it. House Kong had become yesterday's flower, and there was nothing they could do about it. Dr. Kang's medical company was also on its last legs. This small family was basically on the decline. Why would Xinyan still take this engagement seriously? Yup, that's what she said. She said that it was her parents who decided it. She didn't want to put them in a difficult position, and she agreed to it. Meng Yao said, I see. Lin Yi frowned. He felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. Theoretically speaking, Wang Xinyan and Xiaolong's relationship wasn't very harmonious. Otherwise, if the two had really become a couple, Wang Xinyan's personality wouldn't allow her to do so many ambiguous things with him. Even if she didn't break off their relationship, she wouldn't do it again and again. But with their current relationship, it was only a matter of time before Lin Yi and Xinyan became a couple. Xinyan didn't give a clear answer, but her actions had more or less revealed some problems. But Wang Xinyan refused, and the reason she gave him was so ridiculous, but made sense at the same time. Marriage, it was a good reason, but Lin Yi felt that it was a little strange. That's all she said, and she told me not to force her. Meng Yao smiled bitterly. I'm sorry, I couldn't complete the mission you entrusted to me. Forget it, it's nothing. Let's focus on Shu's problem first. Lin Yi waved his hand. He wondered if Xinyan had some difficulties, or was there something she was hiding? But Meng Yao probably wouldn't be able to get an answer out of her, so it was up to Lin Yi to figure it out himself. With that, Lin Yi stood up and walked to the place where Shu knocked over the teacup. He bent down and sniffed the ground, frowning as if he was in deep thought. But after a while, Lin Yi stood up. Before Meng Yao could ask, Lin Yi spoke first. Don't talk about it. Shu might be back. Lin Yi heard the familiar sound of a car and knew that Shu was back. Okay, let's not talk about it later. Meng Yao stood up and followed Lin Yi out of the villa. Chapter 24:06. Yushu had just parked the car when she saw Lin Yi and Meng Yao walking out of the villa together. She jumped. Shield, bro, you're back. You and Yao couldn't wait? No, I just came back. Lin Yi looked at the panicking Shu and his heart skipped a beat. Shu was indeed acting a little strange today. Let's eat together then, I've bought it all. Eat it while it's hot. It'll be bad if it gets cold. Yushu said as she got out of the car. Sure. Lin Yi nodded. He walked into the villa's dining room with Meng Yao and Yushu. Meng Yao was a little surprised when she opened the food Yushu had bought. Shu, you went to a tea restaurant? Yeah. I went to a Hong Kong tea restaurant and bought some snacks and food for a change. Yushu said, That's good. It's been a while since I've eaten these things. Meng Yao nodded. Before Lin Yi moved into the villa, she and Shu would go to restaurants, tea restaurants, and Western restaurants whenever Faubert had something to do. It had been a while since they had that kind of lifestyle. Yeah, that's why Shu bought it today. Shield bro, let's eat together. Shu's hungry. Yushu nodded. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. He got the utensils from the kitchen and sat at the dining table. The three of them started digging in. But Lin Yi frowned after the first bite of the teriyaki chicken rice Yushu bought. He was about to say something when Yushu asked, Shield bro, how's the taste? Is it good? Oh, it's pretty good. Lin Yi wanted to say something, but decided against it in the end. He lowered his head and went back to eating. That's good. Yushu nodded. Meng Yao blinked curiously as she pondered over the strange conversation between the two. There wasn't anything wrong with the conversation, but Meng Yao felt that something wasn't right. She couldn't put her finger on it, but she didn't know what it was. However, Lin Yi knew that something was amiss. This was because he had tasted a familiar taste from the chicken drumstick rice. Resting grass was exactly what Lin Yi lacked before he started cultivating the art of dragon mastery. It was a very rare medicine. Although Lin Yi had not personally tasted its taste, he had read about it many times from the information. Moreover, Lin Yi still remembered it vividly. He had almost gone mad because of the benzodiac grass, so he naturally could not forget the taste of the benzodiac grass. This time, Lin Yi suddenly tasted this kind of taste in the chicken drumstick rice, and he was a little confused. Although the benzodiac grass had the effect of calming the mind, it was only for the art of dragon mastery. If it were someone else, eating the benzodiac grass would be no different from taking sleeping pills. They would feel sleepy and fall asleep very quickly. There weren't too many side effects, but the person who took it would fall into a deep sleep. Even if there was an earthquake or thunder, they might not wake up. So, naturally, it was very strange for a medicine like this to be used in a tea house's chicken drumstick rice. Lenny knew that some nourishing restaurants would put important things in their food that could help with sleep, such as acanthophanax, schisandra, and jujube seeds. However, those were only supplementary things, and they wouldn't make the person fall asleep immediately. This benzodiac grass, on the other hand, was different. This thing was even more powerful than sleeping pills. If the restaurant put this thing in the food, wouldn't the customers fall asleep after eating? However, the reason why Lin Yi didn't ask was because he was suspicious of Shu. When Lin Yi was eating, Shu watched him eat. Although it could be understood that Shu wanted to know if the food she bought suited Lin Yi's taste. And in fact, Yushu did ask Lin Yi about it after the meal, but Lin Yi still felt that something was wrong. However, Lin Yi quickly finished the chicken drumstick rice in front of him and ate a lot of the side dishes that Yushu brought back. Meng Yao's appetite was relatively small, and she was full after eating half of the big box of chicken drumstick rice. Shield bro, are you full? Why don't you eat Yao Yao sis's too? Yushu looked at the remaining half box of chicken drumstick rice and asked Lin Yi. Shu, Meng Yao frowned. Let's eat then. I'm a little hungry anyway. Lin Yi nodded and didn't say anything else. He took the chicken drumstick rice in front of Meng Yao and started eating. Meng Yao's mouth opened in shock. Did she just kiss Lin Yi indirectly again? But this time, she didn't hate him as much as before. There was only a slight feeling of love, and it made her blush. The reason Lin Yi brought Meng Yao's chicken drumstick rice over wasn't because he wanted to play some indirect kissing game, but because he wanted to see if there was any benzoin in it. If there wasn't, then it meant that there was something wrong with his chicken drumstick rice, and Yushu would be the first suspect. If there was, then Lin Yi didn't want Meng Yao to eat too much of it. It wasn't a bad thing, but it wouldn't be fun if Meng Yao woke up late for school tomorrow. As for the benzoin, Lin Yi didn't really care about it. It wouldn't affect him at all if he ate too much of it, and it would only help with the art of dragon mastery. Lin Yi had been lacking this herb a long time ago, and now he had it. Lin Yi finished the chicken drumstick rice in 2 or 3 bites and stood up. I'm going back to my room to practicing. You guys rest early too. So many things happened today. It's quite tiring. Yeah, yawn. Now that you mention it, I'm feeling a little sleepy too. Meng Yao yawned, thinking that Lin Yi had infected her. Okay, but Lin Yi knew that Meng Yao was sleepy because of the benzoin. It'd be weird if she wasn't sleepy, but Lin Yi noticed that Yushu wasn't doing anything wrong. At least, Lin Yi couldn't see any signs of tiredness in her eyes. Logically speaking, the benzoin should have taken effect already, but Lin Yi didn't say anything. He and Yao Yao had noticed Yushu's weird behavior a long time ago, and so they decided not to bring it up. They went straight to the bedroom. Yawn. Yushu yawned before turning to Meng Yao. Yao Yao, Shu's sleepy too. Let's go to bed. Okay. Meng Yao nodded and went upstairs with Yushu. Chapter 2407. Meng Yao, however, wasn't as observant as Lin Yi. She didn't realize that Yushu wasn't sleepy at all. Lin Yi went back to his room and started channeling the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. But today, Lin Yi was paying extra attention to the movements in the villa. Shu was too weird today, especially the resting grass in her food. Lin Yi wanted to see what Shu was up to. After channeling the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, Lin Yi suddenly realized that his training efficiency was very high today. Although Lin Yi split a part of his attention to the movements in the villa, today's training was twice the result with half the effort. It was as if Xin Yan was training beside him. The speed was so fast that Lin Yi was speechless. But Lin Yi understood after thinking about it. Before practicing the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, he needed the resting grass, but Lin Yi didn't use it and replaced it with something else, causing him to go berserk. After that, he recovered, but Lin Yi still didn't have the resting grass in his body. So now that he suddenly took the resting grass, it had the same effect as before. It allowed him to channel the second stage of the art of dragon mastery more efficiently. This was actually the herb he'd used when he first started using the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, in order to reduce the side effects. But now that he was very familiar with it, the resting grass was twice the result with half the effort. Of course, this was only the first time he used it. The art of dragon mastery didn't mention that the resting grass could help with training. It was only mentioned once. After that, the effects of the resting grass were even more out of Lin Yi's expectations. Lin Yi had just broken through to Earth Class mid-phase peak. Logically speaking, stabilizing his strength and breaking through to Earth Class mid-phase peak should take a long time. At least, that was the case before. From Earth Class mid-phase peak to Earth Class mid-phase peak was a lot faster with the help of Xin Yan's fragrance. But Lin Yi didn't think that the resting grass would allow him to break through from Earth Class mid-phase peak to Earth Class late phase peak. Right now, he was only one step away from Earth Class late phase. Lin Yi didn't know if he should laugh or cry. It didn't matter who planted the resting grass. It indirectly helped Lin Yi, stabilizing Lin Yi's training. This feels so good. Lin Yi let out a long sigh of relief. This training speed was almost the same as riding a helicopter, but Lin Yi knew that this kind of opportunity was hard to come by. If he used the resting grass in the future, it wouldn't have this effect anymore. After all, this was a special case. Looking at the time, it was already midnight. He didn't think that time would pass so quickly. Lin Yi sensed the situation in the villa's living room. It was still quiet, there was no movement, but the silence was short. After a while, Lin Yi heard clear footsteps. It was Shu's footsteps. Lin Yi had lived in the villa for a long time, and he could hear Shu's and Yao Yao's footsteps very clearly. Shu was tiptoeing, but Lin Yi could still hear it clearly in the quiet night, and he was using his perception in the jade space. Lin Yi hesitated for a moment before closing his eyes and lying on the bed quietly. His breathing was even as he snored, as if he was in a deep sleep. After a while, Lin Yi's door was opened softly. In the villa, Lin Yi didn't have the habit of locking the door. From the jade space, Lin Yi could see that it was Shu. This didn't surprise Lin Yi, but he was a little surprised. Yushu's face was no longer cute and playful. Instead, it was replaced with worry and nervousness. She stood at the door, thinking about something. After thinking for a long time, she sighed softly and walked into Lin Yi's room. In Yushu's hand, there was a sharp knife. Under the moonlight, it shined with a green light. Yushu quietly came to Lin Yi's side and looked at the sleeping Lin Yi. Her eyes flashed with a complicated expression, as if she was going through the last struggle in her heart. Although Lin Yi was still pretending to be asleep, he was actually paying attention to Yushu's every move. When he saw Yushu walking over with a sharp knife in her hand, he couldn't help but be shocked. Of course, Lin Yi wasn't afraid of the knife in Yushu's hand. He was just shocked. What was Yushu going to do with a knife? In fact, Lin Yi could roughly guess what was going on. Was Shu trying to kill him? This was probably the only explanation. Otherwise, why would Yushu appear in his room with a knife at this time? Especially in the chicken drumstick rice from before, there was the existence of the sleeping medicine. Benzoin. Yushu took a deep breath and silently raised the knife in her hand. Her heart was beating fast, and her breathing was rapid. The hand holding the knife was shaking nonstop. One could see how intense the struggle in her heart was. Phew! Yushu finally couldn't endure the pain in her heart anymore. She put down the knife in her hand and breathed heavily. She stared at the sleeping Lin Yi in a daze. After a long time, Yushu calmed down and slowly raised the knife again. aiming at Lin Yi's chest. At this time, Lin Yi finally confirmed that Shu wanted to kill him. But what reason did she have? Lin Yi couldn't figure out. He really couldn't figure it out. If it was said that Shu liked him, then Lin Yi would believe it. But if it was said that Shu could assassinate him, Lin Yi really didn't believe it. All along, Yushu's behavior in their relationship had determined that this would never happen. But something that shouldn't have happened, just like that. Lin Yi remembered the smell on the floor. It was similar to the smell of poison. Although he wiped it clean, there was still some residue. However, Lin Yi wasn't very sure, and he couldn't lick the floor. But at this moment, Lin Yi also guessed that the tea was probably poisoned by Shu. Otherwise, Shu wouldn't have acted so strangely. After pouring the tea for him, she snatched it away, and when Meng Yao wanted a drink, she reached out and knocked it away. This proved that Shu was actually very conflicted in her heart, and it matched the current situation. Shu's heart must be conflicted. She must have had her own reasons for doing this. Chapter 24:08. Lin Yi was confused, but he couldn't think of a good reason. Sigh. Shu seemed to be a little discouraged and sighed softly. She put down the knife and looked at Lin Yi with a layer of mist in her eyes. Her big watery eyes were filled with sadness, a kind of sadness that she had no choice but to do. Lin Yi didn't move. He wanted to see what Shu was going to do. With his strength, he could easily dodge the knife after it landed. Besides, Lin Yi had the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. Even if his heart was pierced, it wouldn't be a big problem as long as he healed in time. Shield bro. Shu still can't do it. Yushu mumbled to herself and shook her head. Shu likes you. Yao Yao likes you too. If you die, Shu will be sad. Yao Yao will be sad too. And Xiao Xiao and Yun Yun sis, they will be sad too. Shu can't bear to see them sad. And I don't want to be sad myself, so Shu should die. But I don't know if I can drag. Sigh. Lin Yi was a little surprised. Yushu mumbled to herself for a while. How did it end up with her dying? As for who Yin Yin sis was, Lin Yi didn't have the time to think about it. Yushu's voice was very soft, so Lin Yi guessed that she was talking about Yin Yin sis or Wang Xinyan. Shield bro, Shu loves you. Just when Lin Yi was wondering, Yushu suddenly lowered her body and sealed Lin Yi's mouth with her lips. She quickly pulled away, as if she was afraid of waking Lin Yi up. Yushu's sudden confession and bold action shocked Lin Yi. Although he also felt that Shu seemed to like him. He had never confessed so formally before. He even used the word love instead of like. All right, although Shu wants to be a mistress for the rest of her life, Shu's not as lucky as Xiao Xiao's. After Shu dies, she'll appear in Shield Bro's dreams and have sex with Shield Bro in her dreams. Yushu continued talking to herself. Lin Yi heard Yushu's words. Lin Yi almost couldn't hold back his laughter. This little Shu, just a moment ago, she was so sad, and the next moment she said such a funny thing. It really made Lin Yi speechless. Yushu stared blankly at Lin Yi for a moment before turning around as if she'd made up her mind. She walked towards the door of Lin Yi's room. Her footsteps were heavy and determined, and her petite figure made one's heart ache. Shu! Lin Yi couldn't help but open his eyes and call out to her. Ah! Yushu was shocked. She didn't think that Lin Yi would wake up at this time. Her body froze subconsciously, and the knife in her hand fell to the ground uncontrollably. It made a crisp sound in the quiet night. It was extremely ear-piercing. Shu, what are you doing? Lin Yi tried to make his voice sound calm, as if he had just woken up. Not sleeping in the middle of the night? What are you doing in my room? What's that on the ground? A knife? Are you trying to kill me? Lin Yi's tone was teasing as if he was joking. But Yushu's heart jumped when she heard it. Yeah, what am I doing? Oh, I know, Shu is sleepwalking. I was dreaming just now, and I dreamt that there's a monster in Shield Bro's room. So I came to help Shield Bro fight the monster. Sleepwalking? You have this kind of habit? Lin Yi listened to Yushu's poor attempt at covering it up. He didn't expose her immediately, but asked instead. Oh, yeah, Shu seems to have some problem with her body since she was young. Shield Bro, can you take a look at me? Aren't you a miracle doctor? Yushu turned around and extended her hand to Lin Yi. Lin Yi looked at her expectant gaze, and it didn't seem to be fake. He paused for a moment. This wasn't the first time Shu asked him to check her body. There were a few times before, but Lin Yi didn't think much of it. But Shu's strange fever made Lin Yi suspicious. Although Shu was cured after taking some special medicine and said that it was a problem since she was young, Lin Yi was still puzzled. He had never seen a problem like this before. Okay, Lin Yi didn't reject this time. He grabbed Yushu's hand and checked her pulse, carefully checking it. But it didn't take long for the results to come out. Yushu's body was very healthy, and there weren't any problems at all. The only thing he could say was that she had too much energy, or that she had too much energy. Shu, you're not sick, Lin Yi said, and you should be sleeping well. Theoretically speaking, you shouldn't sleepwalk. Also, there's a medicine called benzoin in the chicken drumstick rice that we ate at night. This medicine has the effect of calming the mind. After taking it, not to mention sleepwalking, you might not even have time to go to the toilet. It's not impossible for you to wet your bed. Ah, what benzoin? Yushu was shocked, and a flash of panic appeared in her eyes. She didn't think that Lin Yi could even tell that there was benzoin in the chicken rice. You don't know? Lin Yi asked. I don't know anything. Yushu gritted her teeth and didn't admit it. Shu, are you suspecting that you are sick? Lin Yi didn't dwell on the question. Maybe. Yushu shook her head. Shield bro, did you just wake up? Did I wake you up? Yeah. Lin Yi hesitated, but he didn't expose Yushu. He only asked, Shu, you seem to have something on your mind? Did you run into some trouble? It's nothing. I can deal with it myself. It's just that I'm a little nervous these days. Yushu said. Okay. It was obvious that she was hiding something. She didn't want to say it, and Lin Yi didn't want to force her. Shu was that kind of person. If she wanted to say it, we didn't need to ask her. If she didn't want to say it, it was useless no matter how you asked. Plus, Lin Yi could tell that Yushu had her own difficulties, and she didn't have any bad intentions towards him. If she really had bad intentions, she wouldn't have spilled the teacup the first time they drank tea, and the second time in his bedroom, she wouldn't have stabbed him with a knife. Perhaps she was forced into a corner, or perhaps she was threatened. Lin Yi could only speculate. Lin Yi didn't force her, because he knew that Yushu's trouble wasn't small. Chapter 2409. Lin Yi knew what kind of person she was. In the past, whenever she was in trouble, the first person she thought of was him. But this time she didn't. She wanted to solve it on her own. This meant that this problem was either something she could solve, or he couldn't solve it. She was an extremely smart person. Although she looked dumb every day, Lin Yi knew that it was just a facade. After the facade was torn apart, she wasn't dumb at all. But since Yushu didn't say anything, it meant that the problem she was in was troublesome enough that even Lin Yi couldn't solve it. Or rather, she didn't want him to take the risk. But since Yushu said that she could solve it herself, Lin Yi didn't ask anymore. It's late, Shu. Go to sleep. You still have school tomorrow, Lin Yi said. Okay. Yushu picked up the knife on the ground and walked out of Lin Yi's room quietly. But when she was about to leave, she stopped and turned around hesitantly. Can I not tell Yao Yao? HM? Lin Yi heard Yushu's question and smiled bitterly. It seemed like she knew everything. But still, Lin Yi nodded. Okay. The two didn't say it out loud, but they were both smart people. They knew what the other meant. Yushu smiled and left the room. Lin Yi, on the other hand, couldn't fall asleep after Yushu left. He didn't even have the mood to train anymore. He tossed and turned on his bed, thinking about what happened today. The next day, the sun rose, but Shu and Yao Yao didn't wake up on time. It was also because of the benzoa. Lin Yi didn't think too much about it, but Shu was probably pretending to be asleep. She didn't want Yao Yao to know something about her. As expected, it was almost 8. Meng Yao and Yushu rushed down the stairs in a daze. Yushu shouted, We're late, we're late. Why did you oversleep? Lin Yi looked at Yushu's eyes, stunned. He was a doctor, and it was only natural that he could tell that Yushu had overslept and had only just woken up. She hadn't slept at all last night and had only overslept when she got home. It was different from Meng Yao, who'd taken the benzoin. What puzzled Lin Yi, however, was that Yushu could actually fall asleep. So many things had happened yesterday. I can't even sleep, but she can? Could it be that yesterday's incident was really over? Could she really handle it? However, No matter what, Xiao Shu had returned to her old self. She was no longer as depressed as before. Perhaps she had thought through some things. He let out a sigh of relief, but at the same time, he was a little worried. You're up? I've got breakfast ready. Have some. Hurry up and go to school. He said. Han Jingjing came just now. I let her go first and didn't wait for you. Today, Yi, Mingyao, and Yushu were definitely late, but the teachers wouldn't punish them too harshly if they were late for classes. Only Lin Yi's minor was different. Boss Bai's method was very special, but it didn't work on Lin Yi. He was someone who passed his special exam, and he could be late or ask for leave anytime he wanted. He wasn't restricted by the rules, and that was why he let Han Jingjing go first. Meng Yao and Yushu shouldn't be a problem, either. After all, the other majors weren't as strict as Boss Bai. Wow, it smells so good. Shu came to the kitchen and saw the poached eggs and lean meat porridge that He had prepared. Her mouth watered. Meng Yao noticed that Yushu seemed to have returned to her usual liveliness, and so she didn't ask about what happened yesterday. He didn't ask anymore. He guessed that she might be tired or had caught a cold. After breakfast, the three of them went to school. He watched as Meng Yao and Yushu went to the economics department, and he walked into the biology building. But when he walked into class, he was a little nervous. It wasn't because Boss Bai was a teacher, but because he didn't know how to face Wang Xinyan, who had failed his confession yesterday. He didn't know if Wang Xinyan would reject and distance herself from him because of this. If that was the case, then it wouldn't be worth it. He took a deep breath and walked into the classroom. But what surprised He was that Boss Bai wasn't in the classroom. Although the students were all studying, Boss Bai really didn't come. Although he wasn't afraid of Boss Bai finding fault, it was best if he wasn't late. He glanced at the classroom window and saw that Wang Xinyan was still sitting in her original seat, and behind her was Han Jingjing. At least on the surface, there didn't seem to be anything wrong. She was still sitting in the middle of the row, not at the side. Taking over Lin Yi's seat meant that she was indirectly rejecting Lin Yi from sitting next to her. But Wang Xinyan didn't do that, and this made Lin Yi feel relieved. If Wang Xinyan rejected Lin Yi, it would be a problem for Lin Yi's future training. So this time, Lin Yi walked to Wang Xinyan's side naturally and sat right next to her. Wang Xinyan was reading her book as usual, as if she didn't care at all about Lin Yi sitting there. But Lin Yi could see from the slight movement of her eyelashes that she was actually quite nervous. Xinyan, thank you for yesterday. Lin Yi tried to find something to talk about. In fact, Lin Yi had already thanked Wang Xinyan yesterday. It's nothing. We're good friends. Wang Xinyan's voice was obviously nervous. All right, class is about to start. Let's not talk anymore. Haha. All right then. Let's go to class then. Lin Yi said with a chuckle. He could tell that Xinyan was like a frightened little bird, and he didn't want to provoke her any further. It was for the best that everyone was fine with each other in this situation. But Lin Yi didn't know what Wang Xinyan's real concern was. Was it because of the Xiao family or of the Kong family? Or was it because of some other reason? Lin Yi didn't really believe that Wang Xinyan didn't like him. After all, their relationship had exceeded that of normal classmates and was even better than good friends. If they were of the same sex, they could be described as gay friends, but if they were of the opposite sex, it was more than just friendship. However, what happened next made him feel even more incredulous. Was it premeditated by Wang Xinyan, or was it a coincidence? Because at that moment, Boss Bai walked into the classroom, and behind him was House Kang's Kong Xiaolong. Chapter 24:10. But very quickly, Lin Yi understood that this most likely had nothing to do with Xinyan, because when Xinyan saw Xiaolong, her expression was the same as if she saw something unbelievable. Something was delayed today, because I had to receive a student, Boss Bai said slowly. Boss Bai's voice sounded slowly. Kong Xiaolong is also from our department. He's everyone's senior, and he's currently a PhD student under my tutelage. He's currently writing his PhD thesis, and he came to me today saying that he's looking for inspiration in class. So in the future, Kong Xiaolong will be part of our class. Boss Bai had no reason to reject Xiaolong's request. Although Xiaolong wasn't the most outstanding student under him, he was a very hard-working student, following Boss by all the way from undergraduate to PhD. So when Xiaolong wanted to sit in, Boss Bai agreed without hesitation. Hello everyone, I'm Xiaolong, your senior. If you have any problems with medicine in the future, you can come to me anytime. Xiaolong introduced himself generously. His eyes swept across the students and finally landed on Xinyan, who was sitting beside Lin Yi. Seeing Xinyan and Lin Yi together, Xiaolong felt a surge of anger. This was his woman, and she was sitting with his enemy, Lin Yi. This was a huge insult to him. But Xiaolong was a very shrewd person, and he wouldn't get angry in a situation like this. He only stared at Xinyan. Xinyan could feel Xiaolong's fiery gaze on her. She felt uncomfortable. Xinyan didn't expect Xiaolong to suddenly appear in her class. She had just brought up the cancellation of the engagement with her family yesterday. Today, Xiaolong came chasing after her. Was he trying to show off his power? She wasn't worried that Xiaolong would catch her in the act if she was with Lin Yi. She was worried that Xiaolong would use the power of the Sky Elixir sect to harm Lin Yi. Then all his efforts would go down the drain. Xiaolong had caught her off guard. If she had known that Xiaolong would come, she wouldn't have sat with Lin Yi. But it was too late now. Xiaolong's gaze was filled with possession. How could Xinyan not feel it? Lin Yi, on the other hand, after a moment of shock, he calmed down. Xiaolong was here. This wasn't just a matter of coincidence. But why was House Kong so bold? Letting Xiaolong come here? House Kong was backed by the Hidden House Yu. Although Lin Yi couldn't do anything to the Hidden House Yu, the Hidden House Yu wouldn't dare to do anything to Lin Yi either. Especially after the Hidden House Summit, the Yu family didn't dare to act rashly. This could be seen from the fact that the Hidden Yu family suffered losses one after another, but they didn't dare to make a fart. Plus, Xiaolong had injured Elder by so badly that the news would have gotten out a long time ago. Xiaolong appearing here now was just too weird. Was he really here to chase after Xinyan? With Lin Yi's understanding of the Kangs, it was hard for him to believe this was real. Lin Yi didn't have much contact with Xiaolong, but from the way he did things, Lin Yi could tell that he was a sinister person. A person like that, coming to this mess when House Kong was in such a weak state, was something that Lin Yi couldn't believe. With that thought, Lin Yi raised his head and looked at Xiaolong faintly. His sharp gaze made Xiaolong's heart skip a beat. He didn't dare look at Lin Yi anymore. Kong Xiaolong was furious, but he didn't dare to look Lin Yi in the eye. Although the Kong family's confidence was extremely inflated, it was still under the Yu family's bluff. Kong Xiaoming was very cautious. Without any clear support, Xiaolong didn't dare to go against Lin Yi. But he wasn't afraid of Lin Yi. He didn't come here to go against Lin Yi. He just wanted to steal his fiancée from Lin Yi's hands and humiliate Lin Yi. After all, he was in the right. He was engaged to Xinyan, and they were in Boss Bai's class. He believed that Lin Yi wouldn't dare do anything to him. It was the rule. In fact, he'd been suppressed for too long. He had the mindset of a villain. Under Lin Yi's suppression, House Kong didn't have a chance to breathe. Ever since Lin Yi brought Kong Xiaobo and that bitch to Dr. Kang's birthday banquet, House Kong had been going downhill. Now that they could make a comeback, it would cheer them up. So, Xiaolong ignored Lin Yi's cold stare and walked to Coiling Tiger's seat. Today, Coiling Tiger sat by himself. His underlings, Yellow and Purple, sat behind him, purposely giving their seats to Xiaolong. After Xiaolong sat down, Boss Bai started his lecture. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't think much of him. Xinyan, on the other hand, was visibly uncomfortable. Her face was filled with worry. Xinyan, you actually don't want to marry Xiaolong, right? Lin Yi saw her uneasiness and asked. Xinyan jumped. She didn't expect Lin Yi to ask like that. It was hard for her to answer. Xinyan thought that she'd harden her heart and act like nothing happened when she faced Lin Yi. She'd lie to Lin Yi, say that she didn't like him, that she was engaged, and that they were just good friends. But when the words came to her mouth, they weren't as straightforward as they were with Meng Yao yesterday. She stuttered, not knowing what to say. She couldn't lie to Lin Yi, and so Xinyan was in a difficult position. She hesitated for a long time before saying, Lin Yi, we're good friends, and I'm not afraid of a crooked shadow. Xiaolong may be my fiancé, but he can't cause trouble for me because of this. I won't allow him to restrict my freedom to make friends. Lin, he didn't know if he should laugh or cry at Xin Yan's nonsensical question, but this only served to further confuse Xin Yan's thoughts. Logically speaking, Xin Yan had a fiancé, and if her heart was really on her fiancé's side, she wouldn't be this close to Lin Yi, let alone sitting next to him at school. But if Xin Yan didn't like Xiaolong, why would she marry him? Why would she say that she had a fiancé and emphasize that they were just friends? Let's go to class. It's been a while since you last came. You've fallen behind a lot, haven't you? These are my notes. Make a copy, Xin Yan said calmly as she pushed her notes to Linny. Chapter 24:11. All right, thanks. Linny had no choice but to nod and stop talking about it. However, what Linny was learning were some of Boss Bai's unique opinions in class, as well as some random notes that he mentioned occasionally, which gave Lin a refreshing feeling. As for Wang Xinyan's notes, they were all rigid knowledge, but Lin Yi knew all of these things, so after flipping through a few pages, Lin Yi closed the notes. Right now, Lin Yi's main goal was to train. As for the knowledge of medicinal properties, Lin Yi didn't care too much about it. His medical skills were more than enough for daily treatment, and since Lin Yi couldn't become a refiner for the time being, he didn't have much interest in learning. Training was still Lin Yi's goal, so Lin Yi had to make use of this great opportunity to train hard. Seeing Lin Yi close his eyes, Wang Xinyan knew that Lin Yi was training. After a slight hesitation, she took off her jacket and moved towards Lin Yi, pretending to be careless. However, her trembling body betrayed her. Although Lin Yi had his eyes closed, he was still able to sense everything in the outside world, even the new ideas that Boss Bai brought up. Wang Xinyan's actions calmed Lin Yi down, but at the same time, he was a bit puzzled. If Wang Xinyan was still the same as before, not ruling out helping him train in this kind of embarrassing way, then why did she bring up Xiaolong as her fiancé? Since he couldn't figure it out, Lin Yi could only give up and slowly observe. Don't try to guess what a girl was thinking. As expected, guessing would only add to his troubles. Boss Bai was used to Lin Yi closing his eyes in class, but since Lin Yi had passed his exam, it didn't matter even if he didn't come to class. He naturally wouldn't care. Xiaolong sat beside Yupanhu. Although he felt honored that Kong Ming had been accepted as the last disciple of the Sky Elixir Sect's fifth elder, and his status had been elevated a lot. But in front of Right Coiling Tiger, Xiaolong didn't go overboard. He was not an idiot. Although the Kong family seemed to be very powerful now, no matter what, the Kong family's foundation was too weak. The Yu family was an old hidden family and an alchemy family. The Heavenly Elixir sect valued them very much. Naturally, it was not something that the current Kong family could compare with. Of course, if Kong Xiaoming really did become an elder of the Sky Elixir sect one day, Kong Xiaolong wouldn't have to lower himself to Tiger right anymore. Brother Yu, nice to meet you for the first time. Please take care of me. Although the two of them had talked on the phone before, it was the first time they had met in person. They had only seen each other in photos. Hee, Brother Kong must be joking. It's Brother Kong who will take care of our house Yu in the future. Right Coiling Tiger wasn't the head of the Yu family. At most, he would be an elder. But Xiaolong was different. Kong Ming had left to become an elder of the Sky Elixir sect. He couldn't return to be the head of the Kong family. The head of the Kong family had to be Xiaolong. There was no one else, so Yupan who didn't have a high status. Take care of each other. Xiaolong laughed. Right, Brother Yu? I heard that Wang Xinyan and Lin Yi are very close. Yes, they are. Right Coiling Tiger nodded. Brother Kong, I have to remind you that Wang Xinyan is your fiancé. I have to remind you. Wang Xinyan is your fiancé. After all, it's not right for her to be with Lin Yi. Yes, Brother Yu. You know my family situation. In the past, our Kong family could only be considered as a low-class family. We only rose because of my brother Xiaoming. So if I were to fight with Lin Yi, I wouldn't be his match. Xiaolong didn't hide it and told the truth. After all, Lin Yi is a practitioner. If I were to fight with him, even if Xiaoming could get revenge, I'd be at a disadvantage. That's true. Right Coiling Tiger nodded. I won't hide it from you. Lin Yi is a very strange kid. I've suffered a bit from him. If we were to compare strength, we wouldn't be his match. Unless a sky class gets involved, we won't be his match. You know about the hidden house, Zhao, right? Their Earth-class late-phase peak elder was crippled by Lin Yi in one move. With his kid's strength, I'm afraid even an early-phase sky class won't be his match. Hiss. Xiaolong sucked in a cold breath. His mind cleared up a lot. Even an early-phase sky class won't be his match? Thank God he didn't provoke him. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died. But you don't have to worry. Right Coiling Tiger waved his hand. Boss Bai, you and I know the rules of the class, and so does Linny. He won't do anything to you. Dirty tricks are fine, but if you really do it, Boss Bai won't agree. What Boss Bai hates the most is killing each other in the same class. That's true. Xiaolong understood this, naturally, but what's Boss Bai's background? Can he scare Lin Yi? Boss Bai, yeah, the Sky Elixir sect is really strong, right? Right Coiling Tiger paused. Even the Sky Elixir sect's ancestor, the Sky Man, respect him a lot. He used to be a top elixir refiner in the Jianghu. I heard that he came from a higher plane, but that's just a rumor. No one knows. Oh, Xiaolong paused. He knew that Boss Bai was strong, but that was only limited to the academic world. Boss Bai was very good at learning, but he didn't know that Boss Bai used to have such a prominent identity. However, he felt a little strange. Then how did he become an ordinary teacher now? It seems that he didn't control it well enough when he was making the elixir, and his meridians got damaged. Right Coiling Tiger said, I'm not too sure about the specifics, but you know that he's strong. Lin, he wouldn't dare hurt us. That's good. Xiaolong breathed out in relief. He started thinking about how he could get Wang Xinyan and embarrass Lin Yi. Lin Yi's not only close to Wang Xinyan, but he's also close to Han Jingjing. I'm planning on going after Han Jingjing, so Lin Yi won't be able to take care of both at the same time. I'll go with you to help Big Bro Kong. Right Coiling Tiger had wanted to mess with Lin Yi for a long time, and getting in touch with Han Jingjing was also a mission from his family. He wouldn't let go of this opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. As expected, Xiaolong was overjoyed. That's great. This way, Lin Yi will have enemies on both sides, and he won't be able to take care of the second one. If we go after her together, he'll definitely make a mistake. That's what I'm thinking, but we need to think about how we're going to do it. Right Coiling Tiger said. Chapter 24:12. That's easy. My brother is a master at hitting on girls. I'll give him a call and see if he has any good ideas. We can learn from each other. Xiaolong had never hit on girls before. He'd always paid attention to his image, wanting to be a clear contrast to Kong Ming, but now it seemed that this was his weakness. But life was unpredictable. Xiaolong sighed at his brother's good luck, but at the same time he let out a sigh of relief. His identity as the future head of House Kong was secured, and House Kong will be able to soar to new heights because of Xiaoming. That's good. Yupana nodded. He was the young master of House Yu, and he'd never hit on a girl before. It was all girls throwing themselves at him, so he didn't have much experience in this area. There was a chance to interact with Kong Ming, and he wouldn't let it go. On the other side, the two had reached an agreement. They looked at each other with a perverted smile. Without competition, Xiaolong had decided to go the perverted route as well. In a secluded corner of the school, a Mercedes-Benz R350 was parked. Yushu opened the door nervously and got in. Question mark. In the car, an old man saw Yushu and asked, "Why aren't you dead yet? Did you do anything?" Yushu sighed helplessly. It's not that I didn't do anything, but Lin Yi's too strong. The resting grass doesn't work on him. Impossible. The old man slapped the armrest in the car and raged. This resting grass was given to us hidden house you by the Sky Elixir sect. It's effective on any practitioner, so why doesn't it work on Lin Yi? I think you have feelings for him, and you don't want to do anything, right? This old man was House Yu's old master's favorite, and him, the mysterious old man from the mall and the tea house, and the girl was naturally Yushu. It really doesn't work, Yushu said carefully. Lin Yi's too strong. The resting grass really doesn't work on him, and I almost got exposed. So, it's best if we don't do anything to Lin Yi. What if Lin Yi takes it out on House Yu? House Yu has support. Why will we be afraid of him? Yi scoffed. Lin Yi crippled elder by the hidden Zhao family in one move. I think you can only last 2 moves. Yushu's voice was a little nervous, but she said it anyway. Speaking of Elder Bai, Yu1 went silent. He was only a Sky Class early phase, a line away from Elder Bai. Although the difference wasn't huge, it wasn't small either. So Yui was a little afraid, especially after hearing from Elder Yu about what Lin Yi did in the Noble House meeting. Even Elder Yu wasn't confident that he could beat Lin Yi. Even a few Sky Class masters had to gang up on him, so naturally, Yu1 had to do it as well. If a Sky Class could really take down Lin Yi, then House Yu wouldn't have used Yushu, a chess piece, at the risk of being exposed. They just let you do it. But Elder Yu didn't dare. Elder Bai was a good example. He didn't dare say that he could cripple Elder Bai in 1 move, but Lin Yi did it. Didn't that mean that Lin Yi was stronger than Elder Yu? You're speaking for him? Yuan was a little afraid, but he knew that Yushu and Lin Yi had a lot of things going on between them. Naturally, he wouldn't believe Yushu so easily. I have a recording here, listen to it, Yushu said, not bothering to explain. She pulled out her phone and started playing the recording. Oh? Yuan paused. He nodded and listened to the recording on Yushu's phone. Shu, what are you doing? What are you doing in my room instead of sleeping in the middle of the night? What's that on the floor? A knife? Are you trying to kill me? Lin Yi's voice came from Yushu's phone. Yeah, what am I doing? Oh, I know, Shu, sleepwalking. I was dreaming just now, dreaming that there's a monster in Shield Bro's room. So, Shu came over to help Shield Bro fight it. Yushu's voice came from afar. Sleepwalking? You have this problem? Lin Yi's voice said. Oh, Shu's a little sick. I've had this problem since I was young. Shield Bro, can you take a look at me? Aren't you a miracle doctor? Yushu's voice said. All right, Shu. Also, your sleep should be very good. So in theory, you shouldn't be sleepwalking. Plus, there's something called benzoin in the chicken we're having tonight, and it has a calming effect. You won't even be able to go to the toilet after using it, much less sleepwalking. It's even possible that you'll wet your bed. Lin Yi said. What benzoin? Yushu's voice said. You don't know? Lin Yi's voice said. I don't know anything. Yushu's voice said. Shu, are you sick? Lin Yi's voice said. Maybe. Shield Bro, did you just wake up? Did I wake you up? Yushu's voice said. Yushu cut it off, but these recordings were enough to prove that Lin Yi wasn't affected by the benzoin. Not only that, but he was starting to suspect Yushu. After listening to the recording, Yui's face darkened. He had some doubts about Yushu's words, but now he didn't. He could hear Lin Yi's voice, and since Lin Yi could call out the benzoin's name, it meant that he was on guard. It seemed that Lin Yi wasn't just good at practicing, he was good at medicine as well. I told you, Lin Yi isn't easy to deal with. I almost exposed myself. If I pissed him off and he went to House Yu, who would bear the responsibility? Yushu asked. Even if House Yu has someone supporting them, would you wait until you're all dead before you take revenge on Lin Yi? This is a serious matter. I need to discuss it with the head. Yui was silent for a moment before getting out of the car and dialing the Elder Yu's number. Yushu let out a sigh of relief when she saw Yui make the call. What a close shave. Shield Bro, this was the only time I could buy you some time. I hope you'll train hard as soon as possible. We talked on the phone for a full 20 minutes before he opened the door and got into the car again. Chapter 24:13. Yushu's heart skipped a beat when she saw Yu, but she kept a straight face. Yu closed the car door and said to Yushu with a gloomy face, the head of the house is very angry. You didn't handle this matter well. There's nothing I can do. Lin Yi is too powerful. What can I do? If you don't give me the antidote and let me die of heat, I can only accept my fate. Yushu was a little nervous at the point. She told everyone about how strong Lin Yi was to save her own life. After all, no one wanted to die. The old master will give you another chance since it's not your fault, Yui said. Oh, Yushu didn't think that her gamble was right. House Yu didn't have the intention to kill her, but on the surface, Yushu didn't show it. What chance? Monitor Lin Yi, Yuan said. We absolutely cannot allow Lin Yi to interact with House Yu's Yuning. If there's anything unusual, inform us immediately. Yuning? Yushu blinked. What's his relationship with Yuning? You don't know? Yui was surprised. He didn't expect Yushu to not know about Lin Yi and Yuning. What do I know? Yushu was even more confused. Lin, he knows people from House U? You don't need to know so much. He snorted and said, you just have to be clear. Don't let him contact you, Ning. Otherwise, we will cut off the supply of medicine to you. Oh, all right. Yushu nodded. Don't forget who you are. You're our spy in the common world. If you want to get rid of the fire poison and meet your parents, you'll have to listen to us. Yui said, oh, my parents, are they well? A trace of sadness flashed in Yushu's eyes. She'd never seen her parents' faces since she was young, and she didn't even know who they were. How sad was that? The only thing Yushu knew was that they were locked up by House U. If you're good, they'll naturally be good. They will naturally be buried with you. He said faintly. Oh, Yushu sighed. Every time she asked, the answer was the same. If she didn't secretly take Yutian's blood sample for a DNA test, she wouldn't believe that she wasn't Yutian's biological sister. However, she didn't dare to ask her parents about the truth of the matter, much less old man Shun. She was afraid that House U would see the problem, to harm her parents, and House U didn't allow her to reveal this secret. I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself. You know the rules. Don't have feelings for Lin Yi, and don't lose your virginity. Otherwise, if you die, your parents will die too, warned Yui. Oh, Yushu nodded. All right, it's about time. You can go back. He said lightly. Okay. Yushu opened the car door and got out, her underwear soaked in sweat. It had only been half an hour, but she'd already been soaked in sweat. She'd experienced life and death. Phew, Yushu let out a long sigh and tried to calm herself down. On her face, there was that silly, sneaky smile again as she walked towards the economics building. Drive, you see, he said to the driver. Yes, big brother, Yusi replied. They're both young misses, but their fates are completely different. He sighed and muttered to himself. Big brother, what did you say? Yusi froze. He didn't understand Yu Yi's words. Nothing, just drive. He naturally wouldn't explain anything to Yusi. There were many things that were House Yu's top secrets. Only he, old man Yu, and the current head of the house, Yu Xiaochan, knew about it. Okay, Yusi didn't ask much. He naturally understood the rules of House Yu. Yushu returned to the class and informed the teacher before sitting next to Meng Yao. Shu, what's wrong with you? You went to the washroom for more than half an hour? Meng Yao looked at the time on her phone. She asked curiously. Oh, I got up in a hurry this morning and forgot to go to the washroom. Yushu stuck her tongue out. That's still too long. Why didn't you fall in? Meng Yao didn't ask anymore and continued listening to the class. Yushu said, I almost fell in. The class passed quickly, and Lin Yi finished his practice. He opened his eyes and was about to say something to Xinyan when he saw Pan Hu and Xiaolong walking towards him. Xinyan, want to go for a walk? Xiaolong walked to Lin Yi's table and extended his hand, inviting Xinyan. He didn't seem to care about Lin Yi at all. Han Jingjing, how's your pill refining going? At the same time, Right Coiling Tiger sat down beside Han Jingjing and asked, Let's exchange some pointers? Lin Yi couldn't help but frown. What were these two doing? One was trying to get close to Xinyan, and the other was trying to get close to Han Jingjing. Were these two prepared? Sorry, I want to read. Xinyan didn't show any disgust toward Xiaolong, but she didn't show too much passion either. She only waved the book in her hand calmly. Haha, Xinyan, we're a couple after all. We haven't seen each other for so long. Can't you give me a chance? Xiaolong smiled. Sorry, it's the end of the semester soon. I need to study hard, and there's still a lot of questions I don't know. Xinyan maintained her smile as she spoke indifferently. I see. Haha, I'm a PhD after all. You can ask me if you don't know anything. I'll help you. Xiaolong reacted quickly. He could find a way to interact with Xinyan if she wanted to study. He smiled and sat in the seat in front of Lin Yi. It was break time, and the students in front of Lin Yi went out to exercise. This was a good opportunity for Xiaolong. Oh, that's fine. Xinyan flipped open her notebook and pushed a question in front of Xiaolong. Then I'll have to trouble you to analyze this for me, Professor Kong. What's the role of the burnt beetle nut in this prescription? Can it be replaced with other herbs? Is the effect of the replacement better or weaker than the previous prescription? Let me see. Xiaolong took Xinyan's notes, but his face changed when he took a closer look at the question. This was a very obscure recipe. Xiaolong hadn't even seen it before. Chapter 24:14. He didn't even know what kind of illness this prescription was for, let alone what the medicinal properties of these herbs would be after they were combined together, let alone replacing one of the herbs. After a while, Xiaolong's forehead was covered in cold sweat. But Xiaolong was a doctor after all. He didn't understand what this prescription meant, but he knew what the burnt beetle nut was. He said directly, "This burnt beetle nut is one of the Jiao Si Xian." The Jiao Si Xian refers to the burnt hawthorn, the burnt malt, the burnt shinsu, and the burnt beetle nut. These four ingredients have very similar effects. They're all good for treating indigestion, poor appetite, and indigestion. So, this burnt beetle nut can be replaced with any of the other three ingredients from the Jiao Si Xian. As for the effects, it should be about the same. Is that so? Xin Yan nodded deep in thought. But what does this prescription mean? I don't really understand it. This prescription is basically used to treat indigestion and poor appetite. It also has the effect of soothing the liver and stomach, Xiaolong said casually. After you change it, the effect of the prescription is greatly reduced. Indigestion and poor appetite? This is a prescription for stopping diarrhea and dysentery. Burnt beetle nut has the effect of stopping diarrhea and dysentery. Where are the other ingredients you mentioned? Linny said faintly as he glanced at Xiaolong. You. Then tell me, what does this prescription mean? Xiaolong's face darkened when Lin Yi rebuked him. Lin Yi's words made sense, and the burnt beetle nut did have that effect. But he felt that Lin Yi was being unreasonable. How could this prescription stop diarrhea and dysentery? You don't understand this prescription? I thought this was what your house Kong is best at. Lin Yi looked at Xiaolong and explained. Split this prescription into two. One is for stopping diarrhea and dysentery, and the other is for nourishing the body after stopping diarrhea and dysentery. Xiaolong paused. He took a closer look and realized that it really was the case. Previously, he had been bound by the idea that there was only one prescription and one effect. He did not even consider that this was a combination of two unrelated prescriptions, so it was normal that he could not understand it. However, Lin Yi had said that the Kong family was the best at this. Xiaolong's face darkened. House Kang's weight loss medicine was the same trick, but was exposed by Miracle Dr. Guan's company. It was a great humiliation to Dr. Kang's company. So it's that simple. Xin Yan understood. She had been thinking about this question for days. It was one of Boss Bai's thinking questions, but she didn't have a standard answer. It was said that there was a bonus question in the final exam. It would be one of the two bonus questions that Boss Bai usually gave. However, these questions were very strange, and Boss Bai didn't give an answer. He had to wait until after the exam, so the students could only think about it themselves. Xin Yan wanted to ask Lin, but she remembered that Lin Yi hadn't come to class for a long time. He should be taking the time to make up for it. So she didn't ask. Xiaolong just happened to be in trouble. Xin Yan's, "It's that simple," came from the bottom of her heart. But when Xiaolong heard it, he felt that it was quite ironic. After all, Xiaolong was a PhD student. It was a world of difference compared to the knowledge of these first-year students. Xiaolong couldn't get angry at Lin Yi for stealing his limelight. He couldn't make a comeback, so he could only accept it. Dr. Kong, you should go back and study. Otherwise, your thesis won't pass, Lin Yi said faintly. This kind of question is actually a brain twister. It's not common in daily practice and research. It can't be used as a standard for knowledge. Xiaolong laughed. There's so many doctors on TV who can't answer those brain-twisting questions. It's normal. But after saying that, Xiaolong was just finding an excuse for his mistake. He wouldn't have the face to stay here any longer. After saying a few words, he left with his tail between his legs. Right Coiling Tiger, on the other hand, had a bitter expression on his face. Because no matter what he said, Han Jingjing didn't care about him at all. She just ignored him. Han Jingjing was currently calculating something on her tablet computer. Her expression was very engrossed, as though she was not paying attention to the outside world and only focused on reading the books of sages. No matter what Right Coiling Tiger said, she remained expressionless, not even raising her eyebrows. In this kind of situation, even if Right Coiling Tiger talked like a river, Han Jingjing could only pretend to be deaf and mute. Right, Coiling Tiger, are you telling a story? Lin Yi turned to the chattering right Coiling Tiger after dealing with Xiaolong. Of course not. I just wanted to discuss with Han Jingjing about the experience of being a refiner. After all, we're all refiners. The more the better, right, Coiling Tiger said. Oh, actually, Han Jingjing has hit a bottleneck recently. She's very focused on calculating something. It's normal that she didn't hear what you said. I talked to her, but she often doesn't hear me. Lin Yi explained. Then, as if afraid that right Coiling Tiger wouldn't believe him, he called out, Han Jingjing. Han Jingjing didn't reply. She continued calculating. Is that so? Han Huyu nodded doubtfully. After all, Han Jingjing didn't reply when he called out to her, so it was possible that she was immersed in it. Yes. Lin Yi nodded seriously. He laughed inside. Han Jingjing wasn't stupid. She knew how to play along. Then what bottleneck did she hit? I'll go ask my grandpa. We can discuss it before telling her. Right, Coiling Tiger didn't want to give up. Her? Actually, she did run into some trouble. She just doesn't want to trouble others. Lin Yi pretended to be troubled. Because this is really troublesome. Even I can't do anything about it. Huh? Even you can't? Right, Coiling Tiger heard Lin Yi's words. He saw how Lin Yi suppressed Xiaolong. He was afraid that Lin Yi would use the same trick to force him away. Right, Coiling Tiger was very careful. When he heard Lin Yi say that Han Jingjing was in trouble, he didn't say that he could solve it himself. Instead, he said that he would discuss it with his grandpa. This was to prevent Lin Yi from giving him a hard problem. However, when he heard Lin Yi say that Lin Yi couldn't do anything about it, right, Coiling Tiger was happy. Yes, but Han Jingjing thinks that this is troublesome. She shouldn't trouble you. She can solve it herself. Lin Yi said. Chapter 24:15. I say, Lin Yi, you're not Han Jingjing. How do you know that she doesn't want to trouble me? Besides, we're all classmates. Helping her solve some problems is what I should do. Right, Coiling Tiger's heart was moved as he said so. Listening to Lin Yi's tone, he thought that Lin Yi wanted to chase him away as soon as possible. Right, Coiling Tiger naturally wouldn't let Lin Yi have his way. After all, he had learned from Kong Xiaolong's mistake. He was originally ordered by his family to get close to Han Jingjing. He wanted to see how good Han Jingjing's alchemy skills were. Naturally, he wouldn't give up so easily. I'm afraid that you won't be able to help after I say it. I'm afraid that you'll lose face. You really don't know what's good for you. Lin Yi said, Fuck, I already said that I can't help. If I ask my grandfather, he'll definitely be able to help. Right, Coiling Tiger said angrily. You're not me. How do you know that I won't have face? Besides, with our Yu family's strength, there's really nothing we can't help with in terms of alchemy. The reason why Right, Coiling Tiger was so confident was that the Yu family had the Heavenly Elixir Sect's backing. If the Yu family couldn't do it, the Heavenly Elixir Sect could, right? That's why he boasted. Chapter 24:16. Haha, since Big Bro Kong is so generous, Yupan who can't be stingy either. I'll sponsor 10,000 as well. Yupan who finally found a chance to show off, and he couldn't let it go. He wanted to build a good relationship with Boss Bai, so naturally, he had to support him. All right, since Yupan who is paying, then you don't have to pay for yourselves. Let's pay from you, Ponhu's 10,000. Boss Bai was quite satisfied with you, Ponhu's performance. Although this guy was a bit of spoiled brat, he was very active in class activities. Lin Yi looked at Xiaolong and Yu Ponhu coldly. These two were together as soon as they arrived. They were in cahoots. No wonder Xiaolong came back to chase Xin Yan. Did House Kong hook up with House Yu? Then, the harmful prescriptions that House Kong came up with could be explained. It was probably House Yu who came up with them and asked them to produce and sell them. However, what was the relationship between House Kong and House Yu? Lin Yi still had to observe. The most important thing now was, should he go to the winter outing? Lin Yi looked at Xin Yan beside him and asked in a low voice, Winter outing? Are you going? It's a school activity. Of course I have to go, Xin Yan said nervously. Oh, then I'll go too. Lin Yi was looking at Xin Yan. If she went, then he would naturally go. He didn't have much chance to improve his relationship with Xin Yan, and it would be best if he could use the opportunity of the winter outing to resolve the awkwardness between them. On the surface, Xin Yan didn't say anything. She pretended to be calm as she picked up the textbook, but in her heart, she felt helpless. Now that Xiaolong had come to her class, the flames of war between Lin Yi and Xiaolong were about to explode. She could tell from Lin Yi's tone when he helped her with the problem. Lin Yi was very unfriendly toward Xiaolong, but Xin Yan couldn't say it out loud. She was afraid of hurting Lin Yi's self-esteem. In her mind, Lin Yi was a person with high self-esteem. Secondly, she was afraid that after she told Lin Yi the truth, Lin Yi would go against the Kong family prematurely, bringing unnecessary trouble to Lin Yi. As long as he endured for 4 years, Xin Yan believed that with her help and Lin Yi's diligent training, standing at the top of the ancient sects wouldn't be a problem at all. Looking at the development of the past year, Lin Yi had gone from a small character who couldn't even compete with the common families to an existence that could almost compete with the hidden families. For years, he seemed to have underestimated Lin Yi. But no matter what, now wasn't the time for Lin Yi to go against the Sky Elixir sect. She had no choice but to remain silent. Boss Bai started his lesson, Xiaolong and Tiger Right. He began to study it in a low voice. Big Brother Kong, this winter outing is a good opportunity. If you want to pursue Wang Xinyan, we should start planning. Tiger Right said. Xiaolong nodded. That's why I donated the money. This is a good opportunity. Let's see how we can make use of it. I have a good idea. Do you want to hear it, Big Brother Kong? Tiger Right and Wang Xinyan's relationship couldn't be good in a short period of time. After all, he was different from Xiaolong. Xiaolong and Wang Xinyan were officially engaged, and he and Han Jingjing weren't even friends. So he didn't want to get close to Han Jingjing during the winter outing. He only donated the money to please Boss Bai. Go ahead, brother you. I'm really a noob when it comes to picking up girls, Xiaolong said shamelessly. My idea is actually very simple. Let's go to the natural ski resort in Jiduan City first and see the environment of the ski resort. Then, we will find a way to create some romantic events. Yupanu said, don't girls like romance? And Wang Xinyan is your fiancée. You can invite her to do something romantic. I don't think it's a problem. You're right. Xiaolong nodded in agreement. I was going to ask my brother, but you're right, lil bro you. Let's go check it out this afternoon. Xiaolong nodded. Sure, I'll go with you. Tiger Right didn't just want to get close to Boss Bai and Han Jingjing. Getting close to Xiaolong was just as important. Naturally, he agreed. He came up with this idea because he wanted to get closer to Xiaolong. Hidden House Yu. Yu Yi reported Yushu and Lin Yi's situation to Old Yu and Yu Shaochen. In the secret room, Old Yu frowned. He seemed to be considering the feasibility of this plan. After a while, he sighed. Forget it. We can't kill Lin Yi for now. Let Yushu stay by his side. It'll be a distraction for him. As long as he doesn't meet with Yuning, the two of them shouldn't do anything to catch us off guard. Old Yu was just comforting himself. He didn't have the ability to kill Lin Yi. He couldn't do it openly or in the dark. He could only lie to himself. He hoped that he could keep an eye on Yuning and not let her meet with Lin Yi. Yushu could also keep Lin Yi in check. If there was any movement, she could tell him immediately. We won't find trouble with Lin Yi, but with Lin Yi's growth speed, I'm afraid that Lin Yi will find trouble with us first. Xiaochan hesitated before voicing his opinion. Lin Yi's growth speed is simply too shocking. When he destroyed the common world house Yu, we didn't think much of him at all, thinking that Yu Huoxing would be able to take care of him. But now, he's become our enemy in the blink of an eye. Yeah, Yu Li nodded. According to Miss Yushu's description, that Lin Yi is too strong. We can't poison him, and the benzoin is useless against him. We can only hope that the matter will come soon. We'll send Yuning away and push the problem to that place. We won't have to worry about Lin Yi looking for trouble again. How can we guess what's going on in that place? Old Yu smiled bitterly. We can only do what they want us to do. But if we succeed this time, whether Yuning and the others come back or not, our hidden house you will become heroes. That place won't mistreat us. It seems like we can only endure it for now. Yu Shaochen nodded. Not bad. As for Yushu, have you talked to her? Don't let anything happen between her and Lin Yi. Old Yu asked. Chapter 24:17. Old Master, I've already warned him. Yu Yi replied respectfully. All right, don't mention this in the future. Make it our top secret. Only the three of us know about it. Don't tell anyone else. Old ancestor, you nodded. Little Chun, give House Chun a warning. Don't let old Chun speak nonsense, or he'll be wiped out. Yes, father. Xiao Chun replied quickly. In that place, the Xianshan ancestor, who was meditating in the 8 trigrams diagram, suddenly opened his eyes. His eldest disciple, little E, jumped in shock. Master, what's wrong? Why did you open your eyes all of a sudden? Senior brother is out. Follow me to greet him. The Xianshan ancestor stood up and walked out of the room. Little E paused and quickly following the Xianshan ancestor's footsteps out of the courtyard. After leaving the courtyard, the Xianshan ancestor walked towards a secluded cave at the top of the mountain. There were many disciples who greeted him when they saw him, but the Xianshan ancestor didn't have time to respond. He went straight up the mountain and came to the entrance of the cave. Patriarch Xuanshan's 2nd and 3rd disciples sat at the entrance of the cave abode. The 2 of them were disciples who protected Patriarch Xuanshan's senior brother. When they saw Patriarch Xianshan, they could not help but be slightly taken aback. They did not know why their master had come. Master, you're here. The waiter hurried over and bowed. The Xianshan ancestor nodded, but didn't reply. Instead, he said loudly, Second senior brother, did you get anything from this isolation? Haha, Xianshan, you're fast. I just came out of isolation and you came looking for me. I can't even rest for a while. A powerful voice came from within the cave. This person was the 2nd senior brother of the Xianshan ancestor, the Xuanzhen ancestor. Second brother, I'm just worried about you. I'm just concerned about you. You've been in seclusion for 3 years, and I haven't even been able to see you once. So, I rushed over as soon as you came out of seclusion. The Xianshan ancestor heard that the Xuanzhen ancestor's voice was loud and clear. He knew that there was nothing wrong with his body, so he let out a sigh of relief. One had to know that when a cultivator went into seclusion, this was a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. It was a double-edged sword. If it was used well, one's strength and cultivation would increase greatly. If it was not used well, one would go berserk and might even die. After all, to go into seclusion was to shut oneself away from the outside world. If he really went berserk, no one would know about it, and no one would be able to save him in time. It was also possible for him to die in seclusion. Isn't 3 years a blink of an eye for you and me? Xianzhen ancestor smiled as he walked out of the cave and said, Did anything big happen in the mountain while I was in closed-door cultivation? Patriarch Xianzhen didn't look young either. He was a bit older than Patriarch Xianshan. From the way they dressed, they looked about the same. They both wore robes of the 8 trigrams, and they looked like sages. Second brother, I'll tell you about the matters in the mountains later. How are you doing now? How was the harvest from this seclusion? Patriarch Xuanshan's expression changed slightly, but he quickly changed the topic. He didn't want his second brother to come out of seclusion. Not really. Patriarch Xianzhen sighed. You also know that at our level of strength, it is extremely difficult to improve further. Otherwise, we would not have been able to do so. Otherwise, we wouldn't have spent all these years trying to open Heaven State Island and use it as an opportunity to break through. That's true. Ancestor Xianshan nodded. You and I are both at the great perfection of the late stage of heaven rank. If we want to take another step forward, we will reach a whole new level. But even this step is extremely difficult to take. Unfortunately, the sect doesn't have any information about this. Even a method of breaking through has been lost. We can only open Heaven State Island to obtain the method of breaking through. That's right. Third brother, you should feel it too. It doesn't seem possible for us to break through Heaven State Peak late stage. With our current strength, we seem to have reached a saturation level. There is no point in cultivating anymore. Patriarch Xianzhen said, If I'm not wrong, there should be a special mantra or method to break through this level. The previous cultivation method will be useless. That's right. This is also the reason why we are so determined to open Heaven State Island. Patriarch Xianshan said, That's right. Second brother, have you made any progress in alchemy? Can you refine level 4 pills now? I'm ashamed. If it's a level 3 pill, I have a very high success rate. However, if it's a level 4 pill, Ancestor Xianjun shook his head helplessly. I don't have any confidence. I tried a few times in closed-door cultivation, but they all ended in failure. I'm afraid only someone as talented as Big Brother can concoct a level 4 pill. Right? Sigh. Speaking of Big Brother, I don't know if he has passed the hurdle in his heart. Patriarch Xianshun smiled bitterly. All these years, he hasn't taken the initiative to contact us, and we didn't dare to disturb him. That's right. If there hadn't been that accident, I'm afraid Big Brother would have no problem refining level 4 pills now. Patriarch Xianjun sighed. When the time comes, the three of us will step into the heavenly law together and return to that level. How happy would that be? It's all my fault. I was too competitive and hurt Big Brother. Forget it, second brother. You don't have to blame yourself. It's normal to compete with each other. No one wants that accident to happen. Patriarch Xianshun waved his hand and comforted him. But second brother, all these years you've focused on studying alchemy. You haven't even accepted a disciple. I'm afraid you also want to refine level 4 pills for Big Brother to consume, right? Of course. Patriarch Xianjun nodded. I'm sorry, Big Brother. I've always been worried about him. Patriarch Xianshun nodded. He knew Patriarch Xianjun's feelings, but in his opinion, the past was the past. Big Brother didn't get along well with his 2 juniors. At least, Patriarch Xianshun wasn't particularly close to him, so he didn't like Big Brother very much. In fact, all these years, he had already found Big Brother's whereabouts and had his contact information. It was just that he didn't want to contact Big Brother. Xianshun was a person who would do anything to achieve his goals. In his opinion, a useless senior brother couldn't possibly bring benefits to the sect, so he changed the fact that he didn't contact Big Brother to the fact that Big Brother wouldn't take the initiative to contact them. To be continued. Chapter 24:18. That's right, third brother. Has my seclusion gone smoothly? Patriarch Xianjun asked. All these years, he had spent most of his energy on cultivation and alchemy. He basically didn't manage the matters of the sect. He only knew about Patriarch Xianshun's plan, but didn't participate. Second brother. Patriarch Xianshun paused and said sadly, It's not going well, second brother. Something big happened a while ago. What? Something big happened? What happened? Patriarch Xianjun's expression froze. He stopped in his tracks and turned to look at Patriarch Xianshun. What happened? Second brother, Tagonlong has been crippled. Patriarch Xianshun sighed and said bitterly, What? Tagonlong has been crippled? Patriarch Xianjun was shocked. What happened? How'd he get crippled? Second brother, it's like this. Patriarch Xianshun explained Tagonlong's situation to Patriarch Xianjun. When he was done, he said, Originally, I placed my hopes on second brother. I thought that after second brother came out of seclusion, he would be able to refine a grade 4 elixir. Then, he would be able to refine the Great Return Pill and the Great Meridian Channel Conduit Pill. But if he could refine a grade 4 elixir, Boss would also... Patriarch Xianjun smiled helplessly. In the past 3 years, I haven't been able to make any breakthroughs. I reckon that in the next few years, I won't be able to make any progress. There's no hope for a grade 4 elixir. Therefore, I acted on my own and activated the backup plan. After all, a person with a 5 elemental constitution is quite difficult to find. After searching for so many years, we finally found Tagonlong, a 1 in a billion person with a compound constitution. Patriarch Xianjun said. The backup plan. Patriarch Xianjun nodded. He knew a thing or two about the backup plan, but it wasn't too detailed. Are you confident about the backup plan? Confidence. 50-50. Whether the spy succeeds or not depends on what happens next. Patriarch Xianshun lowered his voice and whispered in Patriarch Xianjun's ear. Patriarch Xianshun was actually afraid that Little 2 and Little 3 would hear him. After all, only he and Little 1 knew about this. Patriarch Xianjun nodded and said, I hope it succeeds. I really didn't expect such a big thing to happen in seclusion this time. There's no other way. If it doesn't work this time, I can only slowly find another person with a suitable constitution. Patriarch Xianjun of Patriarch. Tagonlong, other than using grade 4 pills? Is there no other way to recover? Patriarch Xianjin asked. Second brother, you can go and take a look. Other than that, I really can't think of any other opportunities, Patriarch Black Earth said. Then there, Patriarch Xianlong Patriarch. He's true the two of them quickly came to the room where Taganlong was recuperating. Although Taganlong's injuries were under control, he had not woken up yet. His pulse was very messy, and Patriarch Xianshun was only temporarily holding on to his life. It was impossible for him to recover. Tian Clan, Patri, Dragon, I Patriarch of carefully. Patriarch Fong's right. In the blink of an eye, school ended at noon. There was no class in the afternoon, so Lin Yi said goodbye to Wang Xinyan and walked out of the classroom with Han Jingjing. Xiaolong wanted to go over and talk to Wang Xinyan, but he gave up when he thought about what happened today. He guessed that Wang Xinyan wouldn't be nice to him if he talked to her now, so he could only give up. Moreover, he had an appointment with Right Coiling Tiger to go to the natural ski resort in Jiduan City. So, he left the classroom with Right Coiling Tiger. Big bro Linny, are you trying to scam Right Coiling Tiger's herb again? Han Jingjing asked Lin Yi after leaving the classroom. Yeah, we don't have any herbs on hand, so we can only get them from Right Coiling Tiger, Lin Yi said. Since this kid came to us, there's no need for us to let him go. Oh, then how should I cooperate? Han Jingjing nodded. She didn't refute Lin Yi's suggestion at all. Next time he comes to talk to you and asks you something, just say that you lack herbs. Every time he comes, you ask him for herbs until he realizes that he's been tricked and stops falling for it, Lin Yi said. Okay. Han Jingjing nodded. After Right Coiling Tiger realizes that he's been tricked, he won't look for trouble with me, right? If he does, just tell him that I was the one who told you to do this. Tell him to come to me. Lin Yi took the trouble directly. He wasn't afraid of Right Coiling Tiger. Jingjing understands. Han Jingjing nodded and said. There were no classes in the afternoon for medicine, but Meng Yao and Yushu had classes in the afternoon. Lin Yi called Meng Yao and asked her to have lunch together. Lin Yi and Han Jingjing arrived at the Economics Faculty's building and saw Meng Yao and Yushu not long after. Seeing the smile on Yushu's face, Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that Shu's problem was solved, but Lin Yi couldn't figure it out. Who was the one who ordered Shu to assassinate him? Who could order Shu around? Or in other words, what reason did they have to make Shu do this? It was just that Shu didn't want to talk about it, and Lin Yi couldn't force her. As long as she looked fine, Lin Yi was relieved. Lin Yi looked at Meng Yao, and Meng Yao nodded at him, indicating that Shu was fine. What do you want to eat for lunch? Lin Yi asked. Do you want to eat in the cafeteria or outside? Let's eat outside. Shu wants to have a big meal, Yushu said after some thought. Today's incident had allowed her to get away with it, and it made Shu feel like she had survived a disaster. Especially since she didn't have to target Lin Yi anymore, she was very happy. She wanted to have a big meal to celebrate. Okay, let's go out for a big meal, Lin Yi nodded. Should we call Xinyan, sis? Yushu suggested. I'll ask. Lin Yi wouldn't have called Xinyan if he was eating in the cafeteria, but it was better to ask if he was going out. He dialed Wang Xinyan's number and asked, Xinyan, where are you? Jingjing, Yao, and Shu are going out for some food. Do you want to come? Me? Xinyan hesitated. Normally, Xinyan would have said yes. After all, she was close to Lin Yi, Yao, and Shu, and Han Jingjing was in the same class. She couldn't say no. Chapter 24. An unexpected encounter, but the situation was different now. She didn't want the Sky Elixir sect to be angry at Lin Yi, so she purposely kept her distance from Lin Yi. I'm not going. I'll go with Mei Wei and Ling to the cafeteria. Xinyan, who's treating you to a meal? Why are you saying no? Mei Wei's voice sounded. It's Lin Yi. You guys still have classes in the afternoon? Let's go to the cafeteria, Xinyan said. Afternoon classes are at 2. It's still early. Mei Wei snatched the phone from Xinyan. Lin Yi, you don't mind if Ling and I go with you, right? Naturally, I don't mind. Lin Yi smiled, then called by Wei Tuo and Zhao Shengji over as well. Okay, Mei Wei agreed right away. Xinyan didn't know what to say, but she couldn't explain it. What should she say? Was she afraid that her fiancé would do something to Lin Yi? If she told the truth, and Xiaolong heard about it. How would she explain it? She hoped that Xiaolong wouldn't see it and agitate him. Xinyan comforted herself in her heart. Then let's go. Xinyan helplessly took out her car keys and prepared to go to the parking lot. Himei Wei, on the other hand, called by Wei Tuo. Xinyan saw Lin Yi, Han Jingjing, Meng Yao, and Yushu from afar when she got to the parking lot. She was familiar with all of them, but it was a little awkward to meet them again. She just rejected Lin Yi's confession yesterday, and now she was eating with Lin Yi again. It was weird. Himei Wei and Xiaoling were used to Lin Yi being surrounded by beauties. It was something between Xinyan and Lin Yi, after all. Xinyan sis, Shield bro missed you so much. He kept looking left and right. Yushu called out to Xinyan. Xinyan blushed a little, and Lin Yi, on the other hand, was happy. He wasn't happy that Yushu had spoken up for him, but that Yushu was back to her usual playful self. It seemed that her problem had been solved. Yeah, Lin Yi kept talking about you. Meng Yao put in a good word for Lin Yi. Is that so? Xinyan's heart skipped a beat. It was a feeling that made her heart beat faster. Did she really like Lin Yi? But what should she do? Xinyan realized that ever since Lin Yi confessed to her, her heart wasn't calm anymore. Xinyan thought that she could pretend to be a normal friend in front of Lin Yi, but some feelings couldn't be faked. Her heart raced when she saw Lin Yi. It was a feeling that scared her, but it made her reminisce. Himei Wei and Xiaoling looked at Meng Yao and Yushu in surprise. Although Lin Yi said that he was asked by a relative to take care of Meng Yao and Yushu, he lived with them. But Meng Yao and Yushu were so pretty, and Lin Yi was living under the same roof as them. He couldn't say that he had nothing to do with them. Himei Wei and Xiaoling didn't believe it. After all, who wouldn't be moved when two pretty girls were in front of them? So it was natural. They thought that Meng Yao and Yushu were Xinyan's enemies. But now, they were surprised to hear that Meng Yao and Yushu were helping Lin Yi chase after Xinyan. Xinyan, it seems like you and Lin Yi have a good relationship. You missed him just after class, Himei Wei teased. Yao Yao and Shu are joking, right? Xinyan said nervously. Ha, joking or not, we all know about your relationship with Lin Yi, Xiaoling said with a smile. Sigh. Xinyan was really helpless. Her relationship with Lin Yi couldn't be explained anymore. It seemed like there was no way he could explain it. He could only hope that Xiaolong didn't hear about it. What if he got angry and asked Zhao Ming for help? After a while, Bai Wei Tuo and Zhao Xingji ran over. Bai Wei Tuo said breathlessly, I say, Lin bro, why didn't you say earlier that you were going to treat us? Zhao Xingji and I were waiting in line to sell our food, and we left when it was almost our turn. We wasted 20 minutes. We should have gone back to the dorms to rest. It was a last-minute decision. Lin Yi said with a smile, Why are you guys talking so much when you're here to freeload? Two cars, a Grand Cherokee and a Porsche Cayenne, left the school one after the other, arriving at a rather luxuriously decorated restaurant near the school. The restaurant looked nice, but it didn't have a private room. It was probably because it was close to the school and the cost of living here was lower. It wasn't worth it to get a private room. There were booths in the hall, and Lin Yi and the others chose a bigger booth and walked over. Halfway there, Lin Yi felt a gloomy and resentful gaze directed at him. Lin Yi turned around and saw Xiaolong and Tiger Right, as well as Tiger Right's two colorful underlings. They were sitting in a booth not far away, eating. Xiaolong was naturally furious when he saw Lin Yi and Xinyan walk into the restaurant side by side. If it was before, Xiaolong wouldn't be this angry. After all, he didn't have the right to be angry. House Kong had always been a weak existence in front of Lin Yi, but it was different now. He was the brother of the fifth elder's disciple, and his confidence was inflated. Xiaolong felt like he didn't know his place anymore. But Lin Yi only looked at Xiaolong faintly, not wanting to greet him at all. He turned around and went back to his booth with Xinyan and the others. Fuck! Xiaolong cursed angrily, but he was afraid that Lin Yi would beat him up if he heard it, so he lowered his voice. His confidence was inflated, and he thought that he had the background to compete with Lin Yi, but he wasn't an idiot. He didn't think that Lin Yi wouldn't dare beat him up if he cursed at Lin Yi now. Although there were a lot of rules in Boss Bai's class, if you scolded and provoked others first and got beaten up, Boss Bai probably wouldn't stand up for you as long as you weren't beaten to death. It seems like Xin Yan is interested in Lin Yi. Tiger Right clicked his tongue when he heard Xiaolong's cursing. That should be the case. Do you have any good ideas, brother you? Xiaolong was a PhD, but he knew nothing about picking up girls. He could only ask Tiger Right for help. Go ahead, yellow hair. Although you coiling tiger had a lot of women, they were all materialistic women who would come after throwing money at them. He coiling tiger had never pursued a woman who truly played with his feelings. Therefore, he might as well let yellow hair make the move. Chapter 24:19. Kong bro, master you, for what I see, that Wang Xinyan has feelings for Lin Yi. We just need to think of a way to destroy her feelings for Lin Yi. Once Xinyan loses her feelings for Lin Yi, Kong bro will have a lot of things to do, Huang Mao said after some thought. Oh, what do you mean? Xiaolong's interest was piqued. He didn't dare fight Lin Yi head-on, and he wouldn't do something that would get him beaten up easily. But from what Yellow Hair was saying, it seemed like he didn't need to fight Lin Yi head-on, and that he could just use a roundabout way to get the job done. That was great. Kong bro, we don't actually need to do anything. We just need to do this. Huang Mao lowered his voice and told Xiaolong his idea. Not bad, not bad. Xiaolong thought about it and nodded. Then I'll leave it to you, brother Huang Mao. I'll treat you to a meal after it's done. Don't worry about it. It's my honor to be able to do something for Kong bro Kong. Go. Pon who right actually wanted to make Lin Yi suffer as well. Lin Yi had screwed him over a couple of times already. Lin Yi looked at Huang Mao faintly, but didn't say anything. These people were sitting in a secluded area, and Xin Yan and the others hadn't noticed their existence yet. It was Yu Shu's treat, and so he let her order first. After she was done, it was Meng Yao, Xin Yan, Han Jingjing, He Meiwei, and Chai Xiaoling's turn. Bai Wei Tuo and Zhao Xingji, on the other hand, didn't do anything. They were just gluttons, after all. A ringtone sounded, and Lin Yi picked it up, surprised to see that it was Ling Shan. Ling Shan. Lin Yi couldn't call her silly girl in front of so many people, but to be honest, it felt good every time. Lin Yi didn't know if he had some sort of bad taste in his mouth, but calling her silly girl gave him a sense of satisfaction. Thank you, Lin Yi. The kidnapping case has been closed, and it really was done by the Firewolves. The one who turned himself in was a small leader of the Firewolves. Ling Shan stopped there, because she knew very well that this small leader was probably the scapegoat. But as of now, it was very hard to find evidence to take down the Firewolves. The fact that the Firewolves were able to participate in the Hidden House meeting showed that the Firewolves had a lot of connections and power. It's good. Lin Yi had expected this situation. Although the mastermind was most likely Jiang Wen, he was still a smart guy. He didn't leave any evidence behind, so there was no way he would do it himself. The only time he did it was because of Meng Yao, and he brought Lin Yi to the surgery table. In the end, Lin Yi's kidney wasn't cut out, and he lost one of his own. Didn't we agree that I'll come find you after this is over? Ling Shan asked. Lin Yi sighed. Oh, I'm free in the afternoon. You can come over now. We're at the Young Master Chef's restaurant in the University City. Now. Okay. Ling Shan paused, but agreed. After hanging up, Lin Yi looked at the confused faces of his classmates. A friend of mine is coming as well. Ling Shan, Yao Yao, Shu, Xin Yan, you guys know each other. Oh, it's Ling Shan, sis. Meng Yao nodded, but didn't understand why Lin Yi would ask her to eat at this time. Not long after, the dishes hadn't even arrived when Ling Shan walked in. She was a practitioner, too, and her eyes were sharper. She saw Lin Yi right away and walked over with a smile. Lin Yi, Yao Yao, Shu, Wang Xinyan. Have a seat, Ling Shan. How come you're so fast? Lin Yi was surprised at Ling Shan's speed. I'm nearby. Most of the victims are students from around here, and Xinyan is here too. It saves me the trouble of looking for you. Ling Shan wanted to close the case, so naturally, she had to find the victims one by one. I see. Lin Yi nodded. Bai Wei Tuo, on the other hand, was a little surprised. He thought that Ling Shan was around the same age as Lin Yi, but it didn't seem like it. He looked at Ling Shan curiously. This big sis is, I forgot to introduce you guys. This is my good friend, Lingshan. She's the captain of Donghai's criminal investigation team. You guys can look for her if you have any trouble in the future. Lin said, Captain Song? Bai Weitua's eyes wide. He didn't expect Lingshan to be so powerful at such a young age. More importantly, she seemed to be quite close to Lin. How about this? If he ever met people like Li Biaohan who wanted to extort money, he could just look for Lingshan. Meiyue's eyes lit up, and the way she looked at Lin changed. She knew that Lin was very capable, but she didn't know that Lin had this many connections. Bai Weitua, Zhao Xingji, and the others were introducing themselves when a girl with heavy makeup ran over. She looked at Lin Bai Weitua, and Zhao Xingji before hugging Lin and yelling, "Lin, you heartless bastard. You got me pregnant, and now you're ignoring me? I'm a high schooler. If I didn't know that you're a student from around here, I wouldn't have been able to find you." The sudden appearance of this girl made everyone's faces very weird. They didn't know what she was up to. Xiaolong, Tiger Right, and Yellow Hair, who had just returned, were all smiling proudly, especially Xiaolong, who gave Yellow Hair a thumbs up. Today's incident was done beautifully. It didn't matter if Lin could resolve it or not. It would still leave a nail in Xinyan's heart. Many people would rather believe in something like this than not. What do they mean by there's no smoke without fire? If there's really nothing wrong with Lin why would she come looking for him? Even if Lin explained, it wouldn't matter. Yellow Hair said that he had a backup plan. Even if Lin settled it today, he'd spread the news tomorrow and make it sound like Lin had no choice but to give the girl some money. When that time came, even if Xinyan didn't believe it, she'd probably avoid suspicion in front of everyone, right? But just as Xiaolong was feeling pleased with himself, Lin suddenly spoke. Chapter 2420. Bai Weitua froze when he heard Lin Yi's words. What does this have to do with me? The girl froze when she heard Lin Yi's words. Did she cry to the wrong person? Judging from what this person was saying, the one sitting over there was Lin and this person was his friend? The girl regretted her actions. She thought she saw it clearly when the yellow hair pointed at her. Who would have thought it was him? But in order to be worthy of the 1,000 kwai she'd taken, and the reward she'd get after the deed was done, the girl had no choice but to raise her head and look at Lin apologetically. I was in too much of a rush. I mistook you for someone else. With that, she threw herself into Bai Weidua's arms and cried, "Lin you heartless bastard. You got me pregnant, and now you don't care about me? I'm a high school student. If I didn't know you were a student from around here, I wouldn't have been able to find you. Bai Weitua was speechless. What was going on? However, as the saying goes, bystanders have a clear view of things. Meiyue understood a little and didn't take it seriously. Although the little girl jumped into Bai Weitua's arms, this was obviously strange. How could Bai Weitua become Lin Meng Yao and Yushu, on the other hand, were the same. Xinyan, on the other hand, was a little startled when the delinquent girl came looking for Lin. She had to admit that she really did care about Lin, and that made her feel a little uncomfortable. She could accept the fact that Lin had someone else. After all, Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao were both before her. This was something that couldn't be changed. However, she couldn't accept that Lin was someone who liked the new and hated the old. Although the girl's appearance wasn't that good, Wang Xinyan still remembered her. She didn't think too much about it. At this moment, the girl turned back into Bai Weidua's arms. Xinyan felt that something wasn't right. Captain Song, there's obviously something wrong with this delinquent girl. She doesn't even know who Lin is. Why are you crying so sadly? At this moment, Lin said faintly, I think we should bring her back to the police station to take a closer look. There must be an inside story. After listening to Lin Yi's words, the delinquent girl was slightly stunned. She was obviously a little dumbfounded. He turned to look at Lin and suddenly understood what was going on. It turned out that he had not mistaken Lin for someone else. He was the real Lin but he had been deceived by his words. This made her a little angry, but also a little afraid. Bring him back to the police station? There are policemen among them? Song Yunxian nodded. Naturally, she could tell that there was something wrong with this matter. Therefore, she took out her identification and showed it to the delinquent girl. Please come with me. I think your behavior is cheating. The delinquent girl was completely dumbfounded this time. She was just greedy for the 2,000 yuan and came here to put on a show. However, he didn't expect to bump into the muzzle of a gun. There were policemen at this table. How was this good? Subconsciously, the delinquent girl turned to look at Xiaolong's table, and the blondie. Xiaolong and the others were feeling smug and wanted to see how Lin Yi would make a fool out of himself. Who would have thought that the situation would suddenly change? Calm, bro, master you, let's go. The blondie saw the delinquent girl look over and immediately understood. Of course, he wouldn't admit to it even if he was beaten to death, and Lingshan couldn't do anything to him without evidence. Plus, he didn't get anything from House Yu. The yellow hair was fine, but he was afraid that Xin Yan would find out the truth. If that happened, his help would be for nothing, and he'd end up worse off. Xiaolong would hold a grudge against House Yu. That wouldn't be worth it. Xiaolong felt that something wasn't right after listening to Lin Yi's strange words. The delinquent girl jumped into Bai Weitua's embrace and repeated what she said to Lin Yi. Xiaolong's face turned green. Later, when he heard Lin Yi mention Lingshan again and bring the delinquent girl to the police station, Xiaolong knew that things were getting out of hand. If the delinquent girl spilled the beans about the blondie at the police station, Xin Yan's impression of him wouldn't be good. Isn't this Xiaolong and Tiger you? Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Your food isn't here yet, is it? Do you want to join us and eat together? Lin Yi called out to Xiaolong and Tiger Yu. Lin Yi had seen through their plan from the start. Lin Yi was a mid-phase peak master, after all, and he noticed that Xiaolong and Tiger Yu were acting suspiciously. It didn't look like they were up to something good, so he paid more attention to them. It seemed that these people wanted to leave after seeing that their plan was exposed. Xin Yan didn't know that Xiaolong was here, but she was confused when she saw Xiaolong and Tiger Yu getting up to leave. Blondie, don't leave. Didn't you say you didn't have anything? Why are there police here? The delinquent girl panicked when she saw that the blondie was leaving, obviously leaving her behind. She couldn't care less anymore and called out for help. Who are you? I don't know you. The blondie denied the girl's name. Weren't you the one looking for me, telling me to come talk to Lin Yi? The girl panicked when she saw that the blondie was ignoring her. Don't say things like that. When did I look for you? Are you crazy? The blondie humphed. Calm, bro. Master you. Ignore her. There's something wrong with this girl. Officer Sis, I'm going to tell on that yellow-hair guy. He's the one who asked me to frame Lin. Don't arrest me. The girl was panicking as she turned to Lingshan. He's the mastermind. Don't arrest me. Go arrest him. Fuck, what's wrong with her? The blondie frowned. What a crazy person. Calm, bro, master you, I'm sorry. The blondie said that this had nothing to do with him, but no one here was stupid, especially Xin Yan. She looked at Xiaolong and the others helplessly, thinking that Xiaolong was probably doing this to hurt Lin Yi and make her disappointed in Lin Yi. Xin Yan became even more vigilant after realizing this. Why was Xiaolong such a devious person? If this didn't work out, he'd probably use other dirty tricks next time. Xin Yan didn't want to hurt Lin Yi, so she had to keep her distance from Lin Yi. Xiaolong, Tiger Yu, the blondie, and the purple hair quickly left the restaurant, not daring to say another word to Lin Yi. Proportion. Chapter 24-21. Lin Yi smiled as he watched them leave in a hurry. Song Lingshan felt helpless as well. After all, she couldn't arrest the hidden House Yu directly. Even the blonde didn't have any evidence, but she understood what Lin Yi meant. Once the truth was revealed, they would achieve their goal. Big sister police officer, I was wrong. This is the 1,000 yuan that yellow hair gave me. I don't want it anymore. When the little girl saw the yellow hair and the others leave, she was a little dumbfounded. She knew that she had been abandoned. It's fine, you can leave. Lin Yi waved his hand, gesturing for the girl to leave. After all, the truth was out. It didn't matter if she was caught or not. Lingshan was only going to teach her a lesson. Lin Yi still had to give Lingshan a qi-gathering pill in the afternoon, so he didn't have the time to study the girl. Can I really go now? The delinquent girl was pleasantly surprised. You can leave. Don't let others use you for small profits again, Lingshan nodded. Since the victim, Lin Yi, didn't say anything, she wouldn't do anything. Thank you. It won't happen again. I knew those people weren't good people. The girl thanked Lin Yi profusely and cursed the blonde's group before leaving carefully. This farce ended just like that. Lin Yi smiled helplessly. Lin bro, did you pawn who and the others find this person? Bai Weituo asked. That Kong Xiaolong. He called himself Xin Yan's fiancé. He probably doesn't like me, Lin Yi said. Xin Yan, that person is your fiancé? Bai Weituo was a little surprised. Xin Yan frowned. She didn't expect Lin Yi to reveal her and Xiaolong's identity. But thinking about it, she couldn't hide it anymore. Even if she didn't say it, Xiaolong would. Didn't he jump out to cause trouble on the first day? It was the family's decision, Xin Yan said. That was the same as admitting her relationship with Xiaolong. It's true. He West stared at Xin Yan, shocked. Then you and Lin Yi. I told you Lin Yi and I are just friends. Xin Yan didn't seem to want to say too much. All right, let's not talk about that. Even if I were to marry Xiaolong in the future, it'd be after I graduate from university. He doesn't have the right to interfere with my life while I'm in university. He looked at Wang Xinyan. Then he looked at Lin Yi. Bai Weituo, on the other hand, was more practical. He couldn't help but sigh. Xinyan, can't you break off the engagement? You and Big Brother Lin are so compatible. Xinyan sighed. There were some things she couldn't explain. It's the family's decision. I can't do anything about it. All right, Bai Weituo. Can't you call me Big Brother Lin? I'm not used to it. You're not a girl either? Zhao Xingji finally asked the question in his heart. You think I wanna? I call him Boss Bai. Some of my old friends call him Boss. If I call him Boss Lin, wouldn't that be too much? Bai Weituo said helplessly. I see, that's true. Zhao Xingji nodded. Xin Yan let out a sigh of relief. Zhao Xingji's interruption was a good one. He'd managed to change the topic. Lin Yi looked at Xin Yan. He felt that she didn't mean what she said. She never mentioned Xiaolong when they were being intimate. She didn't even remember, or she wouldn't have taken off her clothes to be with him. But now she brought up Xiaolong. He could tell that she didn't like Xiaolong, but why would she help him? And Xiaolong was coincidentally in class, the day after Lin Yi's confession. What was going on? It wasn't realistic to get an answer from Xin Yan. It seemed like he had to find a way to ask. Because of what happened earlier, the meal wasn't very enjoyable. They didn't stay long after the meal. Lin Yi sent Xin Yan and the others back to school and drove Han Jingjing and Lingshan back home. You're pursuing Xin Yan? Lingshan was a detective after all. She could see the triangle relationship between Lin Yi, Xin Yan, and Xiaolong. With Bai Weituo's question, it was pretty much the truth. Yeah, Lin Yi nodded. He didn't deny it. There was no need to hide this. Many people knew that he confessed to Xin Yan. Can't you think about others? Like girls that you can hook without pursuing? Lingshan said, annoyed. You mean Shu? Lin Yi asked. Silly girl. Lingshan said softly. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. He turned around and saw Lingshan's blushing face. She looked like a little girl. People who didn't know her would think that she was a pretty girl from a humble family. In fact, it had been a long time since Lingshan showed this side of her in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't call her dumb girl for a long time, and calling her Lingshan sounded more intimate and proper. But when she thought about it, she felt that only dumb girl, brain-dead girl, and the like were the proper terms of endearment between lovers. Was there something wrong with her? Lingshan sometimes thought about this question. When she called herself silly girl, it was like she was Lin Yi's exclusive property. It was quite a feeling. He looked at Han Jingjing, who was writing on her tablet. Lin Yi coughed awkwardly. Our relationship, isn't it? That's what you said. I'm relying on you now. Lingshan was very happy to hear Lin Yi comparing them to a couple. She knew that it was just an excuse from Lin Yi, but she still took advantage of the situation. Aren't you relying on me now? Since when did I leave you behind? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. That's true. Lingshan thought about it. It was true that Lin Yi always thought of her when there was something good, but their relationship had always been lukewarm. They couldn't take it any further, and Lingshan had even prepared herself for dual practicing. Who knew that Lin Yi would give her a solo practicing? Lin Yi bro, Jingjing will be going first. Han Jingjing, on the other hand, didn't seem to hear the conversation at all. She got off the car the moment she got home and waved at Lin Yi. Okay, you can go first. Lin Yi nodded. This Han Jingjing girl was really weird. She liked him, but she never got jealous. She didn't like him, but she only shared her good stuff with him. Chapter 24-22. Han Jingjing's background made Lin Yi more and more curious. He sighed before turning to Ling Shan. Help me investigate Han Jingjing's identity and family. All right, Ling Shan said. It was easier for her to investigate, but she still said, but if she's from a noble house or a hidden noble house, or even higher, then I won't be able to investigate. You can tell that she's not normal? Lin Yi was surprised. Normal people don't need me to investigate them. Ling Shan smiled. That's true. Lin Yi nodded and entered the villa with Ling Shan. This is your new home? I've never been here before, Ling Shan said curiously as she looked at Lin Yi's new place. I really envy Yao Yao and Shu. Lin Yi could only smile bitterly at Ling Shan's words. He didn't know if she envied Yao Yao and Shu for living in such a big villa, or if she envied them for living together with him. All right, where's the chi gathering pill? Ling Shan saw Lin Yi's awkwardness and didn't make it hard for him. Love had to be done step by step. He couldn't just eat everything in one go, could he? Ling Shan was a little envious of Xin Yan. She was Lin Yi's classmate, and Lin Yi's deskmate too. These two hadn't interacted much before university, and Lin Yi and Xin Yan weren't even that close to Ling Shan, but in just a few short months of school, the two were already close enough to be boyfriend and girlfriend. Ling Shan couldn't help but be envious of Lin Yi. But Ling Shan didn't have that kind of advantage, so she had to do it step by step. Here's 3 chi gathering pills. 1 for you, 1 for Yu Qian, and 1 for Junbro. Give them to them. I won't ask them to come and get them one by one. There's no danger with this. Other than feeling a little sad, there's no other side effects. Just hold on, Lin Yi said as he passed a bottle to Ling Shan. All right, Ling Shan said as she took the bottle, a little disappointed and happy at the same time. If it had been in the past, she would have been very happy to get a small chi gathering pill to help her break through to Earth stage. Earth rank was a rank that she had never dreamed of. But now, Ling Shan's mind was on Lin Yi, and Lin Yi gave her the bottle the moment he arrived. After she took the bottle, wouldn't she have to leave very quickly? Ling Shan's face darkened at the thought. What's wrong? Lin Yi sensed Ling Shan's disappointment as well. It's nothing. I'll head back first then. The kidnapping case isn't over yet. I still have some things to do. Ling Shan didn't want to put Lin Yi in a difficult position, so she prepared to leave. Lin Yi could see that Ling Shan's interest was waning, and he understood why she was like this after some thought. However, Lin Yi really hadn't thought about the problem between him and Ling Shan. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't like Ling Shan, it was just that the two didn't have many opportunities to interact with each other, and Lin Yi did have a good impression of her. But there wasn't any opportunity to develop their relationship, and their relationship had been stagnant. He'd be lying to himself if he said that he'd accept Ling Shan right away. All right, then I won't keep you. Silly girl, I've been quite busy lately, and I still have a test in a few days. We'll meet up when I come back, Lin Yi said. Ling Shan felt a lot better after hearing Lin Yi's words. She felt much better. It seemed that Lin Yi still cared about her. The two hadn't reached that step yet, but there was still hope. Ling Shan was happy again. She realized that. When she was with Lin, she really did seem like a silly girl, because she felt that she was a little silly. After sending Ling Shan off, Lin Yi went to the villa's backyard, preparing to activate the 6th and 7th forms of the Fiery Fist. Logically speaking, he was an Earth-class late-phase peak now, and he should be able to activate the 6th or even 7th form of the Fiery Fist. If he could activate the 6th and 7th forms of the Fiery 8 trigram palms, then it would be quite heaven-defying. It would be equivalent to a Sky-class early-phase peak, or even early-phase peak. He had just broken through yesterday, and with what happened with Shu, Lin Yi didn't have the mood to study martial arts. Now that he had time and nothing else to do, Lin Yi naturally started thinking about martial arts. Lin Yi started channeling the mantra for the Fiery Fist. This was a martial art that Lin Yi relied on a lot. Although there was a stronger Fiery 8 trigram palms later, Lin Yi still hadn't given up on the Fiery Fist. This was the foundation. Without the 6th and 7th forms of the Fiery Fist, where would he get the 6th and 7th forms of the Fiery 8 trigram palms? As for Pu Laoyo's Sky-splitting Earth-splitting claw, Lin Yi didn't plan on practicing it. That thing wasn't very powerful, and it was only effective against Pu Laolu. Now that he was dead, there was no point for Lin Yi to practice it. Fiery Fist, 6th form. Lin Yi followed the method of activating the 6th form of the Frenzy Fist easily. It could be said that he had succeeded on the first try. However, Lin Yi wasn't satisfied with the 6th form because it was within Lin Yi's expectations. A Mid-Earth class could activate the 5th form, Fiery Fist. If a peak Mid-Earth class couldn't activate the 6th form, then it would be a bit of a regression. Lin Yi's main goal today was to activate the 7th form, Fiery Fist. If he could activate the 7th form, then he would definitely be able to successfully activate the 7th form, Fiery 8 Trigram Palms. Therefore, after activating the 6th form, Lin Yi didn't stop. Instead, he continued to activate the 7th form in one go. Fiery Fist, 7th form. Regrettably, Lin Yi had channeled the 7th form of the Frenzy Fist mantra and activated it according to the 7th form, but he was stuck at the moment of activation. The 7th form of the Frenzy Fist didn't succeed. Lin Yi shook his head, but he wasn't discouraged. After all, for other practitioners, being able to activate a new martial technique within 10 tries was already very impressive. To succeed after failing once or twice was already a genius amongst geniuses. Lin Yi had only failed once. There was a similar situation before, so after resting for a while, Lin Yi once again activated the 7th form of Fiery Fist. Fiery Fist, 7th form. Lin Yi yelled again. What made Lin Yi feel a bit regretful was that he still didn't succeed this time. Although Lin Yi was a martial technique genius, he still didn't succeed this time. This could be said to be a pity. Lin Yi sighed slightly and frowned, but he didn't give up. It seemed like he'd have to go back to his old method, starting from the first stance of the Frenzy Fist. Chapter 24-23. Then he practiced the 1st form, the 2nd form, all the way to the 6th form, and finally, the 7th form Frenzy Fist was executed in one go. Lin Yi rested for a while, then started to chant the mantra of Frenzy Fist. He started from the 1st form. 1st form, 2nd form, 6th form, everything went smoothly. Lin Yi finally started to execute the 7th form, Frenzy Fist. Boom! The 7th form, Frenzy Fist, was executed from Lin Yi's right fist. The burning pure energy was even more powerful than the 6th form. The Purple Lightning Beast and Skybolt Pig, who were watching from the side, subconsciously shivered. General Wei Wu, on the other hand, had accepted the fact that Lin Yi was extremely powerful since it was just a normal dog, so it didn't feel anything special. Phew! After Lin Yi successfully executed the 7th form, Frenzy Fist, he let out a long breath. Although the 7th form, Frenzy Fist, was executed in one go, in Lin Yi's eyes, it wasn't perfect. He could only barely execute it. This was very different from the perfect execution of the 6th form. He needed to get used to it for a while. Otherwise, although the power was great, he wouldn't be able to unleash the power of the 7th form. After this, Lin Yi tried to execute the 7th form of Frenzy Fist on its own. This time, he could barely execute it, but the power was much weaker than when he executed it in one go. It was only slightly stronger than the 6th form. It seemed that he still needed to practice the 7th form. It was probably because he had just broken through to the peak of the middle phase of the Earth class. Although he had the resting grass to stabilize his strength, the time he spent breaking through was too short. It was already not easy for him to execute the 7th form. However, Lin Yi wasn't too disappointed. Since he could execute the 7th form, Frenzy Fist, he just needed to practice it slowly. Next, Lin Yi wanted to try the Frenzy 8 Trigrams Palm. To Lin Yi's surprise, Lin Yi was able to smoothly activate the 6th style of the Raging Fire 8 Trigrams Palm. But when it came to the 7th style, he couldn't activate it no matter what. Fortunately, Lin Yi was mentally prepared. Starting from the 1st style of the Raging Fire 8 Trigrams Palm, he activated it all the way to the 2nd style, the 3rd style, all the way to the 6th style. Lin Yi was prepared to activate the 7th style in one go. However, Lin Yi was disappointed. The seventh form of the fiery 8 trigrams palms didn't come out in one go. It was a failure. From the looks of it, the seventh form of the Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm and the seventh form of the Frenzy Fire fist corresponded. Lin Yi was temporarily unable to use the seventh form of the Frenzy Fire fist, so it was reasonable that he was unable to fuse the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm with it. Xiao Chun was afraid that he would have to activate a martial technique that he was familiar with before he could fuse it with a new martial technique. If the two martial techniques were not familiar with each other, it would be impossible to fuse them. Thinking of this, Lin Yi also gave up on continuing to experiment. He would wait until he could familiarize himself with the 7th style of Frenzied Fire Fist. Naturally, he would be able to successfully activate the 7th move of the Frenzy 8 trigrams palm. Lin Yi wiped the sweat off his forehead and was about to return to the villa to rest when his phone rang. He took out his phone. Lin Yi frowned. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello. Lin Yi picked up the phone. Hello, I'm Brother Gamble. Brother Gamble said carefully, May I ask, are you Brother Expert? Brother Expert? Lin Yi was stunned for a moment. Then he remembered that he did not tell Brother Gamble his name, and the account he gave to him was anonymous. Naturally, Brother Gamble did not know his name, so he said, Brother Gamble, have you prepared all the money? Yes, Brother Expert. Thank you for giving me a few more days. I've already prepared the money. When Gambling Bro said this, his heart was bleeding. One had to know that he had spent most of his life fighting to become the boss of a casino from a hooligan on the streets. After taking a huge risk and earning money for such a long time, he had only accumulated around 100 million in assets. Of course, these assets were not in cash, but in real estate and stocks that he had invested in various places. Lin Yi asked for another 20 million in one go. Brother Gamble naturally could not take out so much money in a short period of time. In desperation, he could only sell a few properties and borrow money. After gathering enough money, he transferred it to Lin Yi's account. He did not dare to renege on the debt. There was a heaven stage expert in this group of people, and they did not even care about the hidden Zhao family's name. These people were obviously not to be trifled with, so Brother Gamble clenched his teeth and transferred the money. HM, not bad. At least you kept your promise. Lin Yi didn't think that Brother Gamble would be so obedient. He said he would give the money. Lin Yi had a lot of debts outside, but he did not collect them. For example, the hidden house Zhao and House Yu. But these people were clearly planning to renege on the debt. They had always been enemies with Lin Yi, and Lin Yi knew that he would not be able to get them back. So when he had the chance, he would strike them down, just like a few days ago when Elderby was crippled. If they had just paid up and made Zhao Qikuan the head of the house, perhaps Lin Yi would have let them go. After all, the hidden house Pai and the common house Wu had been against him before, and Lin Yi had let them go after they joined him. So it seemed that Lin Yi was a person who was easy to talk to. Brother Gamble smiled helplessly. Right, after we left, did House Zhao's boss Zhu go find you? Lin Yi asked. He did. Why? Brother Gamble paused. He didn't understand why Lin Yi would ask this all of a sudden. Seeing that you paid up so easily, I'll remind you of something. Lin Yi said, your casino, move out as soon as possible, in case you attract some unexpected trouble. Oh, Brother Gamble paused, but he felt that Lin Yi wouldn't say things without thinking. There must be a reason for this. So he asked carefully, Expert Bro, what do you mean? Someone from the hidden house Zhao died, so they won't dare to find trouble with me. But I'm afraid that on your side. Lin Yi didn't say it too clearly. After all, Lin Yi was just guessing. Think about it yourself. Hiss. Thanks. Brother Gamble's back was covered in cold sweat. He hadn't thought about it that much before, but now that he thought about what Lin Yi had said, wasn't it exactly like that? Boss Zhu had come and asked him about some things, and Brother Gamble didn't think much of it at the time, but after thinking about what Lin Yi had said, he felt that something was wrong. No matter how he looked at it, Boss Zhu seemed to be trying to get him to push the responsibility onto the casino. It's nothing. Lin Yi didn't think that Brother Gamble was this smart, understanding it so quickly. Naturally, he didn't know that Brother Gamble had thought about Boss Zhu's words and made a decision so quickly. Chapter 24. Boss Zhu didn't want to blame the deaths of the Zhaos on the casino. Gambling Bro didn't do his job well, causing the deaths of the Zhaos. Hidden House, Zhao wouldn't dare cause trouble for Lin Yi, but they needed someone to vent their anger on. Otherwise, how would they survive in Donghai? They were the #1 house in the area, after all, and had a higher position than the Hidden House Han. If it didn't care about the deaths, then the Hidden House, Zhao's name, wouldn't be that useful in the future. Therefore, while Boss Zhu didn't leak the news of old Master Pai and the others, he shifted the blame to Gambling Bro at the casino. Old Master Zhao naturally couldn't take this lying down, so he was looking for a chance to get back at Gambling Bro. Gambling Bro hung up the phone, cold sweat dripping down his back. He wanted to find a way to sell the casino, but this was an illegal business. People who didn't have a certain level of power wouldn't dare take on the casino. The people in the underworld all knew their limits. Everyone ran their own businesses, and they didn't cross the line. Asking someone to take out a huge sum of money to buy the casino wasn't very realistic. Although the house in the casino was rented, the gambling equipment in the casino was also worth 30 to 40 million yuan, coupled with a steady flow of customers. Even if the price of 50 million yuan was not too much, it was just that there were not many gangsters who could take out 50 million yuan. Everyone had properties in their hands, and they had a bunch of brothers under them. Who could take out that much cash? Gambling Bro flipped through his phone book, his face full of worry. After calling Gambling Bro, Lin Yi thought for a while and called Lingshan again. Lin Yi. Lingshan was pleasantly surprised when she saw Lin Yi's call. "Silly girl, are you busy?" Lin Yi asked. "I'm fine. I just finished my statement, and I'm thinking about closing the case. I have to go to House N's villa later to verify some things with Jiang Wen and Mingwe." Lingshan said helplessly. She knew very well that the mastermind was most likely Jiang Wen, and the one who came out to take the blame was just a follower. But there was nothing she could do. There wasn't enough evidence to do anything to Jiang Wen. "Oh, that's perfect," Lin Yi said. "When you go to Jiang Wen's place, give him some information." "Message? What message?" Lingshan was a little puzzled. She didn't know what Lin Yi was trying to tell Jiang Wen. Plus, if Lin Yi wanted to tell Jiang Wen something, wouldn't he go find Jiang Wen himself? They said that Gambling Bro is very rich, so they extorted 20 million to get his daughter back. Moreover, I extorted 20 million yuan a few days ago. The casino is really a good place to make money. Lin Yi said. "Brother Gamble really runs a casino? Where's his territory?" Lingshan asked subconsciously. She had been paying attention to Gamble Bro since a while ago. Rumor had it that Gamble Bro owned a casino, but Lingshan hadn't been able to find out where his base was. Plus, the kidnapping case was the most important thing right now, so she decided to put the casino aside for now. "Don't worry about this for now. Wait until Jiang Wen gets everything under control. If you take some people to raid his casino, it will be a great achievement." Lin Yi said. "Let Jiang Wen take over the casino?" Lingshan wasn't stupid. She paused and understood Lin Yi's intention. He wanted Jiang Wen to think that the casino was profitable, so he would go find Gambling Bro to take over the casino. But Lingshan was still a little puzzled. Can Jiang Wen go to the casino? Plus, can Gambling Bro do it? Of course he can, Lin Yi said confidently. And Gambling Bro will be in a hurry to do it. Lin Yi thought. Jiang Wen's kidnapping business couldn't continue anymore, so naturally he would have to find other ways to earn money. From what Jiang Wen had done in the past, this guy always played with small capital and big profits, or he even played with no capital at all. The casino was very profitable. Although it wasn't as fast as kidnapping and extortion, it was a long-term livelihood. If Jiang Wen took over the casino, then the income would be endless. Especially when she told Lingshan to talk to Jiang Wen about this. It gave Jiang Wen a false impression that the police didn't care about this casino. After all, Lingshan had mentioned the casino, but they didn't raid it. How could they not think about it? And so, if Jiang Wen were to take over Gambling Bro's casino, then he'd be jumping into a huge pit. He'd have to face the Hidden House Zhao's wrath first, and even if he solved this problem, Lingshan would raid the casino afterward. He'd probably lose a lot this time. All right, but isn't that a little immoral? You let him take over the casino, and then I raid it? Wouldn't that be a big loss for him? Lingshan felt that he was just messing with her. He's done so many bad things, and you can't do anything to him. Don't you want to get back at him? He asked. That's true. Lingshan nodded. Then I'll mention it to him. We'll see how it goes. If it really doesn't work, then forget it. He didn't want to trouble Lingshan. That's fine. Gambling bro is a victim too. It's fine to mention it, Lingshan said. After hanging up, he smiled. Messing with Jiangwen was something he'd come up with on the spur of the moment. He hadn't liked the kid for a long time, and naturally, he wouldn't let things go so smoothly. He trained on a bed for a while, and it was time for school to end. He left the villa and drove to pick up Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Han Xiao Xiao. He drove to the parking lot and saw Boss by walking to the parking lot with the car keys in his hand. It seemed like he was going out. Master Bai, He greeted with a smile. Oh, it's Lin. Boss Bai smiled when he saw Lin. He was a student he had high hopes for, and while he couldn't concoct pills yet, Boss Bai had high hopes for him. After all, he was his life savior. Naturally, Boss Bai hoped that he could learn more things from him. How is it? How's your control of the fire? Any progress? He smiled bitterly. He didn't expect Boss Bai to care about him this much. He'd been busy with the Hidden House meeting and Wulong Haut Mountains. He hadn't even gone to class for a few days, so where would he find the time to study pill concoction? He did come up with a combined pill concoction technique with Han Jingjing, but it wasn't something that could be replicated. It would be a bit shocking if he told people about it. He couldn't tell the truth to Boss Bai either. After all, they weren't close enough to talk about everything yet. Although Boss Bai had also given him some notes and materials of the refiner, it was all based on the fact that he had once saved Boss Bai. The relationship between the two was not only that of a teacher and a student, but also that of a savior. Chapter 24-25. It doesn't matter. You seem to be quite talented, but your body seems a bit strange. You can condense alchemic fire, but you can't control it. I can't figure it out either. You don't have the fire attribute in your body, right? Otherwise, Boss Bai shook his head and said, Don't worry, I will help you find a way. Don't worry too much. He looked at Boss Bai's earnest eyes and suddenly felt ashamed. He thought to himself, I'm not worried. Although I can't make alchemic pills, Han Jingjing and I can make alchemic pills together, so I don't have to worry too much. The most important thing now is to improve my strength. Thank you, Mr. Bai. He was very touched in his heart. Right, Mr. Bai, if I may ask, if you're not injured, can you make a third-grade alchemic pill at your peak? Third grade? Boss Bai laughed proudly. At my peak, third-grade alchemic pills are a piece of cake. I can even try to make fourth-grade alchemic pills. I can make one in a year. Fourth grade. He clicked his tongue. Boss Bai is really a badass. He secretly thought, can Boss Bai's meridians be repaired? Boss Bai lost his strength because his meridians were damaged. If Boss Bai's meridians were healed, can Boss Bai make third-grade alchemic pills for me? However, after Boss Bai's injuries are healed, can Boss Bai regain his previous strength? If Boss Bai can easily make third-grade alchemic pills and even fourth-grade alchemic pills, then his strength should be at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage. Even if he helps him heal, his strength can only be restored to the early stage of Earth Stage, and he still has to rely on the small Qi-gathering pill. Later on, the road of cultivation still depends on Boss Bai himself, and he can't restore his strength at the moment. Although alchemists recover true Qi and physical strength faster, he still doesn't know the specific situation of Boss Bai. He still doesn't know. Moreover, he knew Boss Bai's identity and background. He had been holding a relatively hesitant attitude, a powerful alchemist. When he was young, he was probably not a simple figure, and he seemed to have some relationship with the Heavenly Elixir sect, which made even more unable to make a decision in a short time. I'm already old. It's all in the past. My alchemy career in the future will depend on you. Maybe you can refine 5th or even 6th grade pills. Boss Bai smiled and said, Teacher Bai, you must be joking. How could I? He smiled bitterly and shook his head. I have high hopes for you. Boss Bai patted Yi's shoulder and said, I'm leaving now. I have something else to deal with today. If you have any questions, you can come to my office directly. You can also call me. All right. Teacher, bye. Lenny nodded as he watched Boss By get on an old Passat and leave the campus. Lenny couldn't help but shake his head. This Boss Buy's car wasn't as good as By Wei to Oz, and By Wei to Oz was a Q7. It didn't take long for Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Han Xiao Chao to come over. They got on the car, and Lin Yi drove them straight home. On the road, Lin Yi said to Meng Yao, "Right, our biology faculty is having a winter outing this weekend. We're letting the whole class go. Oh, go then. You can cultivate your relationship with Xinyan." Meng Yao said straightforwardly, "Don't worry about me and Shu. We'll just stay at home. We won't go out and cause you any trouble." "Thank you." Lin Yi nodded, touched. When he wasn't home, Meng Yao and Yu Shu didn't dare to go out casually. Although they were all Meng Yao's enemies before, they were all his enemies in the future. Rather than saying that he was protecting Meng Yao and Shu, it was more accurate to say that they were dragged down by him. He wasn't a bodyguard, but a bodyguard. "What are you thanking me for?" Meng Yao smiled. "Since when did you become so polite?" "Then I won't be polite," Lin Yi said. A week passed by quickly. In this week, Lin Yi found time every day to practice the 7th form of the Fiery Fist. Finally, he was able to do it with some familiarity, but he wasn't very familiar with the 7th form of the Fiery 8 Trigrams Palm. He could only use it now. But Lin Yi wasn't in a rush. After all, improving every day was better than not improving at all. In fact, Lin Yi knew that he was being a little too hasty this time. If he could slow down a little before using the 7th form, it would be a piece of cake. But he had just broken through to Earth Class Mid-Phase Peak, and he had just used the 6th form. He was too impatient to start using the 7th form now. It was all thanks to the omnipotent technique that he was able to get to where he was today. Ever since Pan Hu Yu and Zhao Long found a delinquent girl to harm Lin Yi in the restaurant and almost exposed themselves, the two were much more well-behaved this week. They didn't go near Lin Yi's place after class, and they were quiet during class. They didn't cause any trouble for Lin Yi. But Lin Yi didn't let his guard down just like that. He knew very well what kind of personalities these two had, and the fact that they were holding back right now meant that they were planning something even bigger. Who knew what these two were up to this time? Lin Yi guessed that if they were going to make a move, they would do it during the winter outings. After all, the rules were looser during the winter outings, and Boss By wouldn't interfere too much. As for Jiang Wen, it was just as Lin Yi guessed. After Lingshan left, he found Scorpion and Little Chun. The casino business is quite profitable. There's one in Donghai, and I'm planning to take it over. Jiang Wen was tempted. "Little Chun, you've trained enough. I'll let you take care of the casino business alone. Is that okay?" "Of course not. Thank you, Master Wen." Little Chun was overjoyed. Taking care of the casino wasn't as easy as following Jiang Wen around, but the benefits were huge. The casino made a lot of money every month, and as long as Little Chun took some of it, it would be enough for him to eat. Jiang Wen didn't seem to mind him doing it, so naturally, Little Chun was overjoyed. "I'll find Gamble Bro and take over his casino in the next few days," Jiang Wen said. "Master One, if you just take over the casino, will Gamble Bro agree?" Scorpion asked after some hesitation. Chapter 24-26. "He has to give us what we, the Fire Wolves, want." Jiang Wen smiled coldly. "Unless he doesn't want to live anymore. But the police have found out that it was us who kidnapped his daughter. What if Gambling Bro doesn't give us the casino out of anger?" Xiao Chun was a little worried. "So what if he knows? He has to give it to us no matter what. With the people around him, he's dead meat." Jiang Wen humphed. "If he knows what's good for him, he'll give me the casino and I'll give him a good price. If not, That's right. Our Master Wen style is always domineering." Scorpion nodded. It was as Jiang Wen said. Gambling Bro was no match for him. Even if he forced him to sell the casino, he'd still have to sell it. So what if he forced him to sell it? Would he dare to call the police? And so, Jiang Wen asked for Gambling Bro's phone number and called him. Gambling Bro had been troubled these days. There were a few people in the underworld who were interested in his casino, but they couldn't bring out the money right now. They said that they could pay him in installments, giving him 20 million this year and the remaining 30 million next year. Although the total was also 50 million, Gambling Bro wouldn't agree to it. He wasn't afraid that these people would go back on their words. but he was afraid that the casino wouldn't even last until next year. He would agree to it normally, but now that he'd offended the hidden house Zhao, who knew if they'd flip the casino upside down one day, who would he go to for money then? He wanted to sell 50 million in one go and run away with it. If there were any problems with the casino, it would have nothing to do with him. Gambling Bro didn't expect that the leader of the Firewolves in Donghai would call him. To be honest, Brother Gamble hated the Firewolf gang. His daughter was kidnapped by the Firewolf gang. Although the Firewolf gang pushed out a scapegoat, how could Brother Gamble, who was also in the underworld, not know the inside story? Without the permission of the boss, would the lackeys dare to do something like this? Not to mention a big gang with strict rules like the Firewolves. Even a small gang wouldn't do it. Gambling Bro's lackeys wouldn't dare to give out chips to their customers without his permission. Obviously, he didn't dare. As a result, Gamble Bro knew very well that Jiang Wen was the mastermind behind all this. It was just that the police didn't have any evidence, and Gamble Bro couldn't do anything about it. Since he wasn't as good as the other party, Brother Gamble could only lower his head and patiently pick up the phone. "Young Master Wen, give me a call." "What's the matter?" Brother Gamble took a deep breath and forced himself to speak. "Gamble Bro, your casino is quite profitable, isn't it?" Jiang Wen said nonchalantly. Gamble Bro's heart skipped a beat. He didn't know what Jiang Wen meant by that, but he said carefully, "You must be joking, Master Wen. My little income is nothing to Master Wen. The Firewolf gang is a big business, while I am just a small one. Besides, young Master Wen also knows about my daughter's kidnapping. This is an unlucky year for me. How much money do I have?" He's already in huge debt. Gamble Bro said that because he didn't want Jiang Wen to borrow money from him or blackmail him. Therefore, he first made himself sound more pitiful. "Oh, Gambling Bro, if that's the case, I have a good idea." Jiang Wen's eyes lit up after listening to Gambling Bro's words. It really wasn't a problem at all. "Master Wen, what do you mean?" Gamble Bro's heart froze. He didn't know what Jiang Wen was planning. "Gamble Bro, since you don't think the casino is profitable and you lack money right now, why don't you just sell the casino to me?" Jiang Wen said, "I've been thinking of opening a casino. I've been thinking that after I open a casino, I'll definitely steal your business. No matter what. Gamble Bro is a senior in Donghai's gambling scene. That's why I told you about it. But now, since you think it's hard to run a casino, then let me run it. We don't have to compete with each other and hurt each other." Jiang Wen was just making things up. How could he open another casino? Even if he wanted to, he didn't have anyone who knew how to do it. From the dealer to the waiters, they all needed professional training. Jiang Wen didn't have the time to find someone to train them. Plus, the gambling equipment and customers were all things that Jiang Wen had to worry about. He didn't have the time to open another casino. The reason why he wanted Gamble Bros Casino was because the dealer, waiters, and gambling equipment were already made. He didn't need to spend any effort on it. He could just take over and earn money. But he said that to scare Gamble Bro. "If you don't sell it to me, I'll open my own casino and steal your customers. Don't cry." Gamble Bro paused. He didn't expect something good to happen to him out of nowhere. He was starting to suspect that Jiang Wen was plotting something. "Master Wen, you're not joking, are you?" "Do I look like I'm joking?" Jiang Wen heard that Gamble Bro's tone wasn't right. He thought that Gamble Bro was scared. He was very pleased with himself. "Gamble Bro, I'm very busy. I don't have time to joke with you." Then Master Wen, you mean?" Gamble Bro tried his best not to laugh out loud as he asked carefully. "I've been to that casino of yours before. Judging from a scale, it's worth about 50 million. If you're willing, I'll give you 60 million. Is that okay or not? Just say it." Jiang Wen's estimation was pretty accurate. He didn't want to waste time with Gamble Bro. 60 million. Gamble Bro didn't expect Jiang Wen to give him that much. His original price was 50 million. If he could pay on the same day, 40 million would be fine too. He didn't want to waste time, but he didn't expect Jiang Wen to be this generous. "What? You think it's too little?" Jiang Wen humphed, a little unhappy. "Don't be greedy. I'll use this money to open another one. You won't be like this now." Gamble Bro wanted to say that he didn't think it was too little. "You just thought that you're giving me too much. You can't get someone to kill me after I take the money, can you?" But then he remembered that he was going to leave soon. Out of the 60 million, there was 20 million that he gave out before. Didn't that make it 40 million? It was exactly what Gamble Bro wanted. Good things really did fall from the sky. You don't agree? Jiang Wen's cold voice sounded again. I agree. Gamble Bro took a deep breath and calmed himself down. But I need cash. I owe someone money, and I need to pay it back as soon as possible. Chapter 24-27. Sure, Jiang Wen didn't have much, but he had a lot of cash. 60 million was nothing to him, so he agreed easily. All right, the casino will be yours then, Master Jiang Wen. I wish you all the best for your business. Gamble Bro was overjoyed. I'll send someone to hand it over to you later, but in order to ensure that the firewolves take over smoothly, don't tell the public that the casino has been transferred. Just tell your men to take care of it. Jiang Wen was afraid that the sudden change of boss would cause a loss of customers. After all, a lot of people came to play because of Gambling Bro's reputation. They weren't familiar with the new boss, and they didn't know if the casino would be safe or not. So, Jiang Wen decided to keep this a secret. That's no problem. Brother Gamble smiled bitterly. Originally, he wanted to say that if he didn't announce that the casino had changed the owner, the hidden Zhao family might go after him. However, after thinking about it, Brother Gamble didn't say it. If it were someone else, Gamble Bro would remind them. But Jiang Wen was someone who kidnapped his daughter and extorted 20 million from him. He'd be happy if he fought House Zhao to the death. Plus, he was going to leave soon. He didn't care if Jiang Wen was in trouble or not. Trouble was the best. He fell right into Lin Yi's trap. He had a lot of things to do these days. He had to train, participate in the winter tour, and also the Sky Elixir School's test. He didn't have time to fight House Zhao and the Firewolves. With Lin Yi's current strength, it wasn't like he couldn't win against them, but dealing with one hidden House Zhao was hard enough, not to mention fighting on two fronts. Most importantly, Lin Yi didn't know if House Zhao and the Firewolves had other people supporting them. He might as well use some tricks to make them fight first. Things were going according to Lin Yi's plan. Xiao Chun easily took over Gamble Bro's business, and Gamble Bro took the 60 million and told the manager about it. He told the manager to be responsible for Xiao Chun, and then he happily ran away with his daughter, leaving Donghai City. This sum of money, in addition to his previous business, was enough for him and his daughter to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. When that time came, who would know that he was once a gambler? When Xiao Chun took over Brother Gamble's casino, the casino started to turn profit. It wasn't a bad pay. Xiao Chun was very happy as she reported the progress to Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen felt that it wasn't a bad idea at all. This casino bro was quite smart, letting go of the casino. The profits weren't that high, but it was a stable long-term investment. The casino was making money even when Jiang Wen was resting. And so, after tasting the sweetness, Jiang Wen decided to turn his attention to some fixed businesses. Although a business without capital could make money quickly, it was not easy to find a business without capital. It wasn't something he could do all the time, and so this kind of stable and profitable business entered Jiang Wen's sights. In the blink of an eye, it was Saturday. Today was the day of the biology department of Donghai Industry University's winter outing. Lin Yi looked at the students with big and small bags and couldn't help but smile. It seemed that after a period of school life, although he had gradually integrated into this comfortable life, there were still some differences in the details. All the other students in the class were carrying bags. There were snacks, fruits, and drinks, but Lin Yi didn't carry anything. He was very free, but there were exceptions. Han Jingjing didn't carry that many things. She only had a small bag with a bottle of water in it, and the tablet that never left her side. Even Wang Xinyan was carrying a small backpack, but that was normal. Han Jingjing was a special case, and Wang Xinyan was a normal girl. It was normal for her to bring snacks and fruits. Is the bag heavy? Do you want me to help you? Lin Yi stood together with Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing and asked with a smile. Xinyan felt uneasy. She glanced at Xiaolong and Tiger right from time to time. She was supposed to be with Xiaolong, but she was with Lin Yi instead. She didn't know if this was a blessing or a curse. Xinyan didn't know for sure. She wanted to keep some distance from Lin Yi and not cause trouble for Lin Yi. But Lin Yi was beside her, and she couldn't tell him to leave. She was so anxious that she didn't hear what Lin Yi said. I said, can I help you? Lin Yi asked. No, it's okay, it's not heavy. Xin Yan's heart skipped a beat, and her face reddened. She was about to pass the bag to Lin Yi when she remembered Zhao Long and quickly rejected Lin Yi's good intentions. Lin Yi didn't mind. After all, Xin Yan's bag wasn't big, and there shouldn't be a lot of things in it. After a while, at 10 o'clock, a few buses drove into the school and stopped in front of the biology building. There weren't many people from the medicine major, and there were still quite a lot of empty seats. The other majors, on the other hand, were a little more crowded. Even so, many students would rather stand or squeeze with others than get on the buses of other majors. After all, there was no one they knew on the bus, and it was quite a boring journey. But there were exceptions. When they got on a bus, Lin Yi saw Bai Wei Tuo and Zhao Xingji appear out of nowhere, each holding a girl's hand. Who else could it be but He Mei Wei and Chai Shaoling? In Xin Yan's room, Lan Xiaoru was the only one who hadn't come. Lin Yi didn't interact much with her, and she didn't hang out with Xin Yan, He Mei Wei, or Chai Shaoling. Since Han Jingjing was with them this time, Lin Yi couldn't sit with Xin Yan like he did during the military training. He had to go to the last row of the bus, and the three of them sat together. Xiaolong, Tiger Right, Yellow Hair, and Purple Hair were planning to sit in the last row as well. But Lin Yi had already taken 3 seats. There were only 2 left, so they had no choice but to sit somewhere else. He Mei Wei sat next to Xin Yan, and Bai Wei Tuo sat on the other side of her. Lin Yi, why didn't you and Han Jingjing bring anything? He Mei Wei looked at Lin Yi and Han Jingjing curiously. Their roommates didn't bring much, and the reason was that Bai Wei Tuo and Zhao Xingji had told them to bring a lot of snacks and fruits, so they didn't have to bring too much. Chapter 24-28. However, Wang Xinyan didn't bring much, and Lin Yi and Han Jingjing didn't bring anything. Would their snacks be enough to eat? Jingjing and I don't like snacks. Lin Yi smiled and said, Big brother Lin, this is a healthy diet. It's really not healthy to bring so many high-calorie snacks like us. There are restaurants at the ski resort, Bai Wei Tuo said. Then why did you bring so much? He Mei Wei pointed at Bai Wei Tuo's backpack and rolled her eyes at him. Didn't I bring this for you? Bai Wei Tuo said with a bitter smile. After the people in the car sat down, the car slowly drove out of the school. Soon, they were out of the city and on the highway. Bai Wei Tuo, come and distribute the safety travel manual for the winter trip to everyone. Boss Bai waved to Bai Wei Tuo and said, This is the first group trip in our university life. I hope that everyone will pay attention to safety while playing. Don't do anything dangerous. In this winter trip travel manual, there are some rules and regulations, as well as some emergency handling methods after encountering danger in the winter field. I hope that everyone will read it carefully after getting it. Bai Wei Tuo quickly walked forward, took the winter trip travel manual from Boss Bai's hands, and began to distribute it one by one. After Lin Yi took the manual, he casually flipped through it and found that the manual was quite well edited. There were many ways to deal with danger and emergency situations, which was very suitable for this winter trip. However, these things were a bit child's play compared to the knowledge Lin Yi had mastered. However, Lin Yi still said to Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan, This manual is quite useful. You guys read it carefully. And then, Han Jingjing put down the tablet in her hand and opened the manual to read it carefully. Wang Xinyan also flipped through it after listening to Lin Yi's words. He Mei Wei, on the other hand, was a little disinterested. She casually looked at it and put it away. Lin Yi didn't say much. After all, He Mei Wei wasn't his girlfriend, and the knowledge in this manual was just to be prepared. Like the winter trip organized by the school, as long as they didn't go to those dangerous places, there would generally be no danger. Not long after, the car suddenly slowed down. In the end, it simply stopped. Boss Bai, on the other hand, received a call from the car in front of him. He frowned slightly and then said to the students in the car, You may have to wait patiently for a while. There's a car accident on the highway ahead. A truck transporting lumber has overturned, and the lumber has blocked the highway. It's being treated urgently. The students on the bus all sighed. The winter outing was supposed to last for 2 days. They would go this morning and come back tomorrow night. However, with the traffic jam, it was estimated that they would only arrive in the afternoon. Imperceptibly, they would lose some time to play. Damn! Right Coiling Tiger frowned when he saw the situation in front of him. Along the way, he had arranged a good show for them. He didn't expect to encounter such a troublesome matter. Right Coiling Tiger had arranged for a heaven rank initial stage expert from the Hidden Right family to rob them on the road. Of course, his target wasn't the money, but the tablet in Han Jingjing's hands. After a few days of observation, Right Coiling Tiger discovered that Han Jingjing seemed to have scanned the alchemist's notes into the tablet. Moreover, in Han Jingjing's tablet, he found some information that he had never seen before. Although it was only a glimpse, he was sure that there was something good in Han Jingjing's tablet. Moreover, Han Jingjing's alchemy experience was also written in the tablet. As long as the tablet was brought over, Han Jingjing's true alchemy level could be seen. As for the matter of Lin Yi being able to fight a heaven rank expert, Right Coiling Tiger was naturally very clear. But he wasn't afraid, because in such a small space in the bus, Right Coiling Tiger didn't believe that Lin Yi would dare to make a move. At that time, as long as the heaven rank expert released his aura of strength, Lin Yi would know his heaven rank strength. Then, Lin Yi wouldn't dare to act rashly. After all, the aura brought by fighting a heaven rank expert would definitely hurt the innocent, especially with so many students in the bus. Moreover, the heaven rank expert's goal was to rob, so Lin Yi might not chase after him. Even if Lin Yi didn't participate in the winter tour and chased after him, he might not be able to catch up to the heaven rank expert who was running away. It could be said that his plan was quite good. Taking advantage of the small space in the bus during the winter tour, making it hard to chase after the heaven rank expert, he would make Lin Yi and Han Jingjing suffer in silence. But he didn't expect that there would be a car accident in front of him. After the car accident was dealt with so many cars gathered together, the car wouldn't be able to run on the highway. The heaven rank expert wouldn't be able to set up a roadblock to stop them. Brother Yu, this isn't a good time. Is our plan going to fail? Zhao Long was a little unhappy. He didn't know that Right Coiling Tiger wanted to rob Han Jingjing's tablet. He didn't tell him about this. Right Coiling Tiger only told him that he had arranged for a robbery. When the time came, the robber would deliberately cause trouble for Xin Yan after robbing Lin Yi and Han Jingjing. At this time, before Lin Yi could make a move, Xiaolong stepped forward and confronted the robber. The robber was enraged and stabbed Xiaolong. After seeing the blood, he quickly jumped out of the car and ran away. This was also a plan that Right Coiling Tiger had designed to make the robber leave quickly. It could be said that he used Xiaolong a little. As for the stab, it was definitely an unimportant spot. Xiaolong also had the special edition Golden Creation ointment that could quickly stop the bleeding and heal the wound. There was no need to worry about any problems. This way, Xiaolong's heroic image would be formed, and he could give Xin Yan a good impression of a hero saving the damsel in distress. Although this was a very cliché, it was very effective. A hero saving a damsel in distress was usually a killer weapon when it came to picking up girls. If Lin Yi saw the problem and said that the robber was a heaven rank expert, Xiaolong would have a countermeasure. He would say that Lin Yi was lying because he didn't want to admit it. What kind of existence was a heaven rank expert? Why would he come to the car and rob them? Even if Xin Yan didn't fully believe it, Xiaolong's explanation would be more convincing. Although Lin Yi was closer to Xin Yan herself could tell that no heaven rank expert would be so bored as to rob a car. Who knows? Right Coiling Tiger was helpless as well. Who would have thought that something like this would happen? While Xiaolong and Right Coiling Tiger were grumbling, the car door opened on the other side. From the looks of the car accident, they wouldn't be able to leave anytime soon. Many students asked to get off the car to get some fresh air. Chapter 24-29. Just as the door opened and a few students were about to get off, a few masked men suddenly barged into the car and blocked the students who were about to get off. One of the leading masked men shouted, "Don't move. Go back and rob them." As he said, the masked man took out a black knife from his waist, raised it over his head, and aimed at the students who were about to get off. "Ah!" The students who were about to get off were immediately dumbfounded and stepped back in fear. Some of them directly sat on the ground, and some even wet their pants. The students on the car were dumbfounded. They didn't expect to encounter a robbery on the highway, especially when there was a traffic jam. It was really rare, but at this moment, seeing the shiny black knife in the masked man's hand, they were a little scared and didn't dare to make any sound. As for the students who were screaming and about to get off the bus, they were scared to the point that their faces turned pale. This was because they realized that the men who got on the bus were either holding sticks or daggers. Each one was more ferocious than the other. Listen to me, if you don't want to die, then take out all your valuables and cash for me. Otherwise, I don't mind sending you to the Western Paradise to obtain Buddhist scriptures. The leader of the group shouted. Up. The students were all shocked by the fierce words of the masked man. You want to rob us, right? I will ask the students to take out all the valuable things in cash. Don't hurt the people on the car. Boss Bai was very calm at this time. He glanced at the leading man and said to him, Oh, you are quite smart. The leading man nodded with satisfaction, and then said to the three people behind him, Lao Er, Lao San, Lao Si, you go and collect the things one by one. If you are not willing to take them out, kill one to warn the others. Yes, brother. The three men behind the leading man immediately responded. They took out a woven bag out of nowhere and said to Boss Bai, Let's start with you. Take out all the valuable things. Boss Bai nodded and took out his wallet without hesitation. He took out all the cash in it and threw it into the woven bag of the three men. Then he took out a mobile phone and asked, Do you still want a mobile phone? It's a knockoff. Even if you sell it, it won't be worth much. I don't want it anymore. One of the brawny men glanced at the duplex in Boss Bai's hands. He shook his head. A brand new phone would only cost 1 to 200 RMB. Even a second-hand flea market might not be able to buy it. When robbing phones, they would only choose smartphones that cost more than 1,000 RMB. This kind of counterfeit phone would not even take up space. Boss Bai nodded and put away his phone. He was doing this to lead the students. With his previous strength, he wouldn't have been afraid of anything. But now his meridians were all severed. In order to prevent the students from getting hurt, he had to compromise first. Of course, although Boss Bai knew that Lin he was good at fighting, he didn't want to cause more trouble. After all, the space in the car was too small. If Lin he shot one and the other shot randomly, the students in the car would be in danger. It was good enough that Lin he could take care of himself and Xin Yan's friends. The other students were just cannon fodder. Therefore, Boss Bai was hinting Lin not to act rashly. He was a teacher. He didn't want his students to make any mistakes. Money was just a worldly possession. Boss Bai didn't lack money, and these students might not bring too much money with them when they went out. The robbers only wanted cash and valuables and ignored the bank cards. It also showed that these people only wanted money and wouldn't risk asking for bank cards and passwords. However, it also showed that these robbers were all professionals. As long as they didn't go against their will, they usually wouldn't hurt people. What Boss Bai was most afraid of were the new students. They would come up and kill them. In the end, they even asked the students for their bank cards' passwords. If they asked for passwords, many students might resist, and then things would get out of hand. And these robbers knew that it was useless to ask for bank cards. When they withdrew money, it would be easy to be discovered. So, their modus operandi was very professional. Yours! The robber Lao San shouted at the two students sitting behind Boss Bai. Although the two students were scared, they still took out their wallets with trembling hands and gave the cash inside to the robber Lao San. Motherfucker, are you born poor? Why are you so poor? Only 100 yuan? The robber Lao San saw that one of the students only had 100 yuan in his wallet, and he was furious. Big brother, my phone broke a few days ago. I just bought an Apple phone. I'll give it to you. The student was shocked and quickly took out the latest Apple phone from his pocket with a sad face and handed it to the robber Lao San. Not bad. Very smart. The robber Lao San took the phone with satisfaction. He looked at it and threw it into the woven bag. He said to the other student, Where's your phone? Hurry up. My phone is ordinary. It's a domestic Android phone. I paid the phone bill. The student next to him took out his phone. You guys don't want it, right? Oh, this is fine too. The robber Lao San glanced at the student's phone. Although it was a domestic Android phone, it was a new model. It could be sold for 3 or 400 yuan secondhand. Why not? You want this too? Can I take out the memory card? The student begged. Motherfucker, why are you so troublesome? Are you giving it to me? When the robber Lao San heard the student's hesitation, he suddenly became angry. A memory card is only a few dozen yuan. Why are you so stingy? No. My card has a photo of me and my girlfriend, the student said weakly. This student's words were a bit funny. After the other students in the car heard it, they suddenly had an urge to laugh, but no one dared to laugh at this time. They might be the next one. Because of the reminder of this student, other students also took out their phones. Those who had a guilty conscience began to take out the memory card. Those who didn't have a memory card began to erase the phone data. Then why don't you hurry up and take it out? The robber Lao San frowned, but he agreed to the student's request. He wasn't being kind, but he was afraid that when he sold the phone, the merchants who bought the phone would find the problem. After all, they couldn't erase all the data when selling the phone. They didn't know how to use many phones. Oh, okay. The student quickly took out the memory card of the phone and then threw the phone into the robber Lao San's woven bag. To be continued. Chapter 2430. Lao Air and Lao C were busy weaving bags to collect money and valuables. The cameras and laptops carried by some students were not spared. However, these kidnappers were very humane and allowed the students to take out the memory cards in the cameras and phones. Memory cards were not worth much. It was useless for the kidnappers to take them back. Moreover, it was not easy to dispose of the stolen goods in the cameras and phones. Yupan who was sitting not far away, frowned. He thought to himself, what kind of people did Grandpa send me? Robbing is robbing. Why do they have to pretend? Robbing money is enough. Why do they want things? It's a waste of time. Xiaolong saw the frown on Pan Huyu's face and could guess what he was thinking. He comforted him. Lil bro Yu, Grandpa Yu is very considerate. These people came up and robbed us, not taking anything valuable. Are they really robbers? This bus of students, even if they only rob money, how much money could they rob? Otherwise, with Lin Yi's shrewdness, he will definitely discover the problem. Wouldn't it be overkill to rob a heaven-class expert? Well, that's true. Yupanu suddenly remembered that he wanted Han Jingjing's tablet. If he didn't rob other people's phones, cameras, and laptops, how would he rob Han Jingjing's tablet? It seemed that he was a little too eager. Grandpa was still the schemer. If he only robbed Han Jingjing, then Lin Yi would definitely be suspicious. However, if everyone robbed, then Lin Yi would definitely not be suspicious. But what pissed Xiaolong off was the fact that Lao San was an idiot. He actually let the students keep the memory cards and delete the data in the phones. What if Han Jingjing deleted the data in the tablet? Wouldn't he be robbing a piece of trash for nothing? This operation seemed to be a show of goodwill to the Kong family from the Hidden Yu family, helping Kong Mingming create a hero to save the beauty. However, the Hidden Yu family sent out an early-stage heaven-class expert. Although there were a few heaven-stage experts in the Hidden Yu family, and Old Master Yu himself was also a heaven-stage expert, these heaven-stage experts were not the subordinates of the Hidden Yu family. They were in charge of the Hidden Yu family. It was just a relationship of interest. The Hidden Yu family provided them with some cultivation treasures or elixirs, and these people would lend a hand when a Yu family was in trouble. If it weren't for the fact that the cost of exchanging information with Lin Yi was too high, and that Lin Yi was insatiable, asking for all kinds of good stuff like a bottomless pit, Elder Yu wouldn't have thought of giving Xiaolong the chance to show goodwill and snatch Han Jingjing's tablet away. It could be said that Old Man Yu was not stupid. This was killing two birds with one stone. How could he let go of the opportunity to express his goodwill to the Kong family and secretly reap benefits for himself? If it was purely to express goodwill to the Kong family and send out a heaven stage expert, then Old Man Yu would definitely not do it. That would really be too free. Of course, Coiling Tiger couldn't tell Xiaolong about this, so Xiaolong was very grateful to Coiling Tiger for this. The two students behind us, what are they mumbling about? The second kidnapper glared at Xiaolong and Tiger Right. He scolded, "Shut up and obediently take out the good stuff." Oh, Tiger Right nodded and thought in his heart. His acting was quite good. In this way, no one would suspect that these robbers were related to him. Han Jingjing looked at the situation in front of her and took out the tablet helplessly, preparing to erase all the data in the tablet. After all, there were a lot of alchemy notes inside, and she didn't want them to be leaked. Tiger Right saw Han Jingjing take out the tablet from the corner of his eye, and he immediately panicked. He almost went up to stop it, but reason told him that he must not do so. If he did so, then Han Jingjing and Lin Yi would definitely be suspicious. But if he didn't stop it, then the information would be gone. This wasn't what Right Coiling Tiger wanted. Just when Tiger Right was in a dilemma, Lin Yi spoke. There's no need to delete it. Those kidnappers won't understand these things. Oh, Han Jingjing hesitated, but she still listened to Lin Yi. She closed the tablet and put it aside. Tiger Right suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. He really wanted to go up and kiss Lin Yi. I'm really grateful. Thank you. However, just as Tiger Right was excited, something happened over there. Lao Si, the robber, shouted at a boy wearing glasses. Why do you have so few things on you? Did you steal something? I didn't. The male student with glasses stammered. You didn't. Robber Lao Si glared and said angrily. Why are you nervous if you didn't? As he said this, Robber Lao Si began to search the boy with glasses. He didn't find anything, so he began to search his backpack. Sure enough, he found the latest full-frame SLR digital camera, an ultra-thin Apple laptop, and the latest handheld game console in the boy's backpack. It had to be said that this boy was very rich. He had high-end digital products on him. These things were already worth tens of thousands of yuan. Little B asterisk starred. You actually dare to lie to me? Robber Lao Si raised his fist and punched the bespectacled boy in the face, sending his gold-rimmed glasses flying. Half of the bespectacled boy's teeth were also loosened, and blood bubbles appeared in his mouth. Looking at the scene in front of him, Boss Bai felt a little helpless. He knew the family background of this bespectacled boy. His family owned a pharmaceutical factory and was very rich. How stingy. It was not worth it to be beaten up for a few tens of thousands of yuan. Tiger Right, on the other hand, frowned. This robber Lao Si was too much of a busybody. If he didn't want to give, then so be it. Why did he have to hit him? If this attracted Lin Yi's help and the other students' retaliation, things would get out of hand. Lil bro you. These people are just putting on an act. Xiaolong whispered. Think about it. He's definitely preparing to cause trouble for Xin Yan later. He's just using the glasses guy as practice. If he were to suddenly cause trouble for Xin Yan, people would think it was weird. With the glasses guy as an example, it'll be easy for him to do what he does next. Xiaolong whispered. You're right. Tiger Right nodded, thinking that he was being too impulsive. These people really did have a plan in mind. They weren't just doing things randomly. This time, with the example of the bespectacled guy hiding something and not handing it over, the rest of the students didn't dare to hide anything anymore. To be continued, that you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.